It being Tuesday, August 25th of 2020, this meeting will be conducted by video conference without a physically present quorum of the Maine Township Board because of the disaster declaration related to COVID-19 public health concerns affecting the township, and pursuant to Senate Bill 2135, which Governor Pritzker signed, the township supervisor has determined that an in-person meeting at the township building with all participants is neither practical nor prudent because of this ongoing disaster. Township officials and legal counsel will not be physically present at the township. If that is unfeasible due to the disaster and it has been deemed to be unfeasible. However, the chief administrator is present at the building. Physical public attendance at the township building may be limited if that is unfeasible due to the disaster. Directions for doing that were included. Physical public attendance, so alternative arrangements for public access, to hear the meeting are available or were available up until 6 p.m. To obtain the password to connect to this meeting, you should have called Rich Lyon at his number prior to 6 p.m. on August 25th, 2020. The meeting will also be video recorded and made available to the public as provided by law and is being live streamed. Hi, Dave. I'm trying to see you. There you are. All right. I'm going to unmute you. All right. You hear it? You should be unmuted. You should be good. Hello?
Hello.
Hi. All right.
Hi.
Everybody's here. Oh, well, Visha, would you like to take attendance? Okay, so she's, hang on, let me unmute her. Okay, Visha, would you like to take it?
Yes. Supervisor Boras?
Here.
Trustee Jones?
Yes.
Trustee
Here.
Kelly? Trustee
Here.
Smith? Trustee
Here.
Mackenzie?
Here.
Trustee Carabora? Mr. Carabora?
Here.
All right. All right. So we have the bill review of general assistance, town fund, and road district expenditures. I have previously reviewed the bills, so have it.
I am working on the payroll and check reconciliation. So I will take that for the all three different accounts.
Thank you. I'll start with general assistance.
Okay, I'll start with town fund.
I could do town fund going backwards. You want to do that?
Well, do you want to do road and bridge?
I'll
Otherwise,
do road and bridge. I'll start road and bridge.
okay.
And also, Kelly Stonich is present to answer any potential questions that you might have with respect to.
Thanks, Kelly.
Hi,
And
Kelly.
you got my emails?
I did. Thank you, Claire. That's
Sorry
great.
about that. I was on an RV,
That's okay.
bad Wi-Fi.
No problem.
You were in an RV?
Yeah, we took an RV trip out west to all the national parks. It was awesome.
Oh my God, please.
But very bad Wi-Fi. In the mountains.
Is it true you have to empty your own RV? Like, ooh,
Oh, yeah.
ooh.
Yeah, that wasn't very good. But
Did your kids do that?
no, Ryan did it. Well, Kelsey helped him, but Ryan did the lion's share.
Wow, I'm impressed.
How fun.
Wall trip. It's that part keeping me from doing.
I know. That's kind of a yucky part, but
I would love to do that.
it was an adventure. I definitely recommend it, especially with kids.
How long were you gone?
8 days, that wasn't really enough to do. We drove a lot. It would have been easier if we would have done a little bit, either longer time or shorter distance, but You know, we wanted to hit most of Yellowstone, you know, once we got there, and it's huge.
Oh, yeah.
So we just kept driving, and it was the time when the motorcycle rallies were in Sturgis.
Oh,
So that was very interesting.
Yeah.
That was like very Americana. It was cool. It was cool.
So did
Definitely recommend it.
You drove there and back in 8 days?
Yeah, we drove a lot. We drove like
did you
12
make
hours a
it
day.
to California, or did you skip?
No, we drove to as far as Wyoming.
Wow, my
That was like the
husband would
tip of where we went.
Yeah,
And Montana, Wyoming, South Dakota,
yeah. Wow.
Nebraska,
The most boring.
the most boring. Yeah.
Most boring.
Went to the Corn Castle though, right?
No, we didn't go to the Corn Castle. We went to the Badlands,
Oh,
Badlands.
the
wow.
Custer State and Federal Parks. We went
Mhm.
to Yellowstone. We went to Grand Teton. We did the fly fishing and
Wow.
whitewater rafting. Oh, it was so
For
fun.
Ryan's health, I guess he's doing okay.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Well, he's like a normal person instead of like, you know.
Hi.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really,
Wow.
really cool.
Did you go, when you went to Yellowstone, did you go to Awani, the hotel and the lodge that is in Yellowstone?
So we couldn't get in there, but we went to a lodge that's in West Yellowstone. It's called
Okay.
Under the Canvas,
Okay.
and it was very cool. That's the glamping, you know, that you hear
Sure.
about.
Sure.
Yeah, it was really log cabins, teepees, tents, like all that stuff. It was really pretty. But the best part was this luxury resort in Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
I love Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
I do now too. I want to go back, but if
Okay, you guys, neither of you can tell my husband this. Seriously?
it's called Aman Ghani.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh.
Definitely worth going to.
Okay, but what is there to do in Wyoming other than
Fly
hike?
fishing, whitewater rafting, hiking.
Well, they have
Um,
spas and stuff if you wanted to go to a spa there.
Well, Aman Ghani is like world-class spa.
Right.
It's just, I mean, I had fun for hours just sitting out on the porch and looking at nature.
That's what I would do, and go to the spa.
And one afternoon, Kelsey Cameron and I painted on our little canvases the scenery. It was so fun.
That's very cool. Wow. Wow. So wait, when you went to Amangari, where did you pick up the ski?
They let us plug in so that we could keep the refrigeration going and everything. Very
Wow.
nice.
Very cool.
It was pretty cool. And they let us plug in at the Yellowstone campground, the log cabin place.
All right. So that might be the one hotel in Wyoming I couldn't see.
Well, so there's Amangani, Gani, that's in Jackson.
Okay.
Then there's Amangiri, that's in Utah. I heard
Okay,
that's
no, I want
really
the one in
beautiful, too.
Jackson. Yeah, I've heard that's beautiful as well. But Utah, I'm just not a fan. I mean, the scenery is so bleak to me. I mean, I've been.
Well, if you ever get a chance, go to Jackson. It is absolutely gorgeous.
Oh my God, that's where my husband wants to retire, is Wyoming or Montana. I'm like,
Well,
I don't
him and lots of other people, they're building houses like crazy there.
really.
It is beautiful. You would like Jackson Hole, I think.
In the
It's
summer,
beautiful.
I think I would, but in the winter, it's hard to believe I would. It's like, why do you want to retire to a place that's colder than Chicago? I don't know. It's a little nuts.
Well, then you have to go to California, Nevada.
And yeah,
Arizona.
I think we've decided we can't retire for a while. Because, I mean, originally we were going to buy property in Longboat Key. But, you know, Florida's not a good place to go to
Not right now.
right now. So,
Did you go to Mount Rushmore?
That was my
Yeah.
literally next question.
Isn't that beautiful?
Nice.
It's very cool, and there's a lot of motorcyclists there.
Yeah, well, because of Sturgis then.
Yeah.
And then did you see the, what's that, is it Sitting Bull, that Indian sculpture?
Crazy Horse?
Crazy Horse, thank you.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's beautiful.
You know, there's so much natural beauty and then all these other like monumental things that every American should be proud of, honestly.
My husband would love this trip. I mean, that is.
So, did you see the lady who got too close to the buffalo calf and got her pants taken off by the mama buffalo?
No.
All over Facebook.
Oh,
She got off her motorcycle and was getting, so they were crossing the road. We were there 15 minutes before her. They were crossing the road and we had to wait and like everybody was like taking pictures. So this lady decided she was gonna walk over to them. She wasn't touching them, but she got too close to a baby and the mama came charging at her. The mama put the horns underneath this woman's belt and threw her and knocked her out. And her pants came off, and everybody said, "Thank God her pants came off, because otherwise the buffalo would have killed her."
I was gonna
And
say, yeah.
they helicoptered her out. She was in serious condition when.
well, they have signs
Ah,
saying not to get close to the animals. These are wild animals. They literally have signs like everywhere.
people,
They tell you-
Oh,
So,
yeah, people are nuts, completely nuts. I don't know why they do it at Brookfield Zoo or
right, exactly.
doesn't it's just they're an insane. All right.
I have a question. I hate to disrupt this little party discussion, but Kelly, maybe you can answer. I don't know. I'm on the wires and I'm looking at check number 3479 of the payroll for the town fund.
Okay.
And I don't see that in the check reconciliation. That's the only person that I don't see that was reconciled. Or
Okay, I'll have to look into that. I don't have it in front of me.
it was 3479 August 7th.
Okay.
So if you pulled up the town fund, it's the payroll check for $933.90.
Okay, I'll have to
Richard, are you there? Can you hear me? Is Viesha here or?
I'm here.
Okay. That's the check number 3479 that I don't see.
3479 is check for Susan.
Correct.
Yes, it's there.
But it's not in the check reconciliation on our bank account statements that I'm going through. That's the only one that's not in there.
What bank?
I'm going through the paychecks that we get for the payroll and the check reconciliations. And there's nothing here that's saying we issued like a check. So I don't know why that would be. Oh wait, hold on, it might be on a separate page. I'm looking. Because it just wasn't listed with everybody else, it was separated out. I think I see it, hold on, let me, yeah, it's the same amount, okay.
Okay.
Yes, it's 8.7, okay, never mind, scratch it. Okay, I got it. So I did the town fund. Okay, on the road and bridge for the check reconciliation, Kelly, I do have one that doesn't match up. That
Okay.
was for direct deposit on August 7th, Peter Davlakis payroll. There's two different amounts, so the one that's in here is different than the one that is in the reconciliation. The reconciliation says it should be $2,742.45,
Oh, geez.
and the actual direct deposit is $2,687.55.
Okay, I will check tomorrow with Dorothy to see that check record is different.
Okay, so it's actually less than what it's in the reconciliation for. So
Rich, I need you to unco-host yourself. Because you are listed. Okay. Now, why am I having this?
Here, I'll make you the host now.
Okay. All right. And then I'm trying to go on more. Okay, I got it. Okay.
All right.
Susan,
Now
Yes.
I need
actually, on the 7th, his check is 2687.
I was just gonna say that.
yes,
And then on the 21st,
And now the 21st is 2742.
45.
okay. Let me go back and see if I'm missing a page.
Rich, I'm sorry. How do I get rid of the when I go to participants, Rich? How do I get rid of the mute and there? Never mind. Never mind. I figured it out. All right. So.
Okay, well, I guess what I'm seeing in here is all these dates for the road and bridge is only in here for 8/21. I don't see the 8/7.
Not listed as,
I pulled up the email that Viesha sent for the reconciliation and everything under road and bridge. I wasn't looking at that date. The date's for 8/21/2020, not for 8/7.
Susan, what's the question? I'm sorry.
Open the check reconciliation.
I'm opening road and bridge. I have 1, 2, and 3.
No, that's not what I'm saying to open.
Maybe somebody else can check it?
Let me just see if I can find it back again. I'm
Because,
opening up the check reconciliation. Let me see.
because
Oh,
what I,
okay, I found it. I thought this was part
All
of.
right, you gotta, I mean, can,
Okay.
like, you make sure that you don't have it before you get everybody opening things? I'd really appreciate it.
I try, Laura. I really try. I'm not trying to create anything that's not necessary.
I understand. I'm just
Well,
for
it's-
everybody.
Please don't be critical. I'm trying. Okay.
So who do I ask a question about Town Fund and the Recovery Connection CrossFit 88 Inc.? There's a note here from Marty that there was an error and there's a result. Okay, so the attached 3 invoices from CrossFit are a result of billing mishap by CrossFit 88 and Maine Township staff. Do you know what happened?
Kelly?
Dana.
I can probably answer that, check on yeah, I can probably answer that. So, I don't have it in front of me. Is it showing several invoices for like 3 months in a row? 3 months.
Yeah, showing 3 $800 invoices, and in the check, it says it's for group fitness classes, monthly membership fee, June, July, and August.
Right. I actually had Marty put that note on. This is an explanation. He was just remiss in sending those invoices in for several months in a row. I'd like for him to submit that on a monthly basis. So just in case there was a question by the board of why there was so much money at the time, I just had to put that on there. So that's what that is. Oh, he just wants to know what check number it is.
It is check 57967, CrossFit 88 Inc., in the amount of $2,400.
Thank you.
So this is for classes for people who come on Fridays? Is that what this is?
No. No, CrossFit is their week, like Saturday, Sunday. They have it's training, sober CrossFit. So it gives them, it's a program.
Oh, okay.
Claire, I'm starting on Town Fund 6 because I
Okay.
assume you're on Town Fund 1, right?
I'm on 2, Town
Okay.
Fund 2.
All right, so I'm on 6.
Okay,
I
thanks.
finished the reconciliation, the checks, and the payroll.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So an answer, finishing up your answer, CrossFit has been very popular with the Recovery Connection, and once we were able to reopen yeah. So yes, that is a separate thing from our meetings that we've now been having at the township under the tent.
Okay, so they get unlimited access. That's nice.
Yes, yes. So, the price isn't horrible. And Marty worked out a deal. I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear Dana. There was some feedback. So, I don't know if the problem was that it was 3 months at once or she wanted him to do monthly.
No, apparently Marty didn't submit all of the statements timely, and so all three of them came in one bunch.
Right, and then we talked to him about that, and that's what I thought she said. Okay, so I hope that answers it. But the CrossFit is a great program, in my opinion.
I'm on Township 3 now.
Okay.
You guys should buy your own tent.
We rent it. We'd love to buy it.
Yeah, I think you can afford to buy one. It probably will come in handy.
I think so too, considering that all these places in Arlington Heights, I think Park Ridge and other locations are going to keep their restaurants open till November outside. I think that's actually a great idea. So I'll have Marie look into that because we do rent it and the price is good because we put everybody, you know, seniors, Marty's group, and whoever else needs to, but buying it, yeah. The reason we didn't is we didn't know how long. At this point, it's looking long. So,
Yeah.
especially if we can figure out a way once it is cooler to heat it. You know, the restaurants have a little edge on that, so they can do outdoor heaters and whatnot. We don't have a whole lot of plugs over there, but I can have Mike look into that because we all love the ton. Like, it's a great. Marie had to talk me into it.
Yeah.
So I think it worked out great. I'll tell her that you said so.
I think you should buy one.
So, you know, I think our rental might be rent to buy, which is good. And perhaps we can get a discount and I will have her look into that. We can get some prices on that. Well, I know we did. So, fine.
So why did we send Light and Family Services grant payments 1 through 5 in one swoop?
Rick, is he muted? Yeah.
I don't know if Rich wants to answer, right?
Let me unmute him.
It's a big lump sum, right?
Yeah, it's for 5 grant payments.
Right, so we called over there because it's such a big amount. They were stating that the person who usually is in charge of sending over the invoice was ill. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? No.
I can hear you, but I can't make out every word.
Okay,
I think you got to move closer to something.
can you hear me now?
Yeah, actually.
Okay, so we called over there because we don't normally write a check for that amount of money to any agency that we fund. And their answer wasn't great. Basically, they told us that the lady who's in charge of you know, getting the invoices together and sending them over to us, was ill. And unfortunately, they didn't have any cross training and there was no one to do that. And then I guess when this person recovered and they came back, then she was able to get all the paperwork together and then send it over to us. So that's kind of what they responded. And we don't normally like to do that. I hope that doesn't happen again, but that's what their response was. I know it's a lot of money for one payment. So,
Okay,
okay, thanks.
thanks.
I'm on Town Fund 5.
Okay, I'm still on 3.
Hey, I'm done with general assistance, so I don't know where Dave is on Road and Bridge.
You can go to Town Fund 4.
But you already have 2 people working on Town Fund, so how about if I help with Road and Bridge?
That's fine.
So I think he started with 1, so I'll go to 3.
Okay, I'm starting 4. Town Fund 4.
Okay. Kelly, are you still on?
I am, yes.
I'm just confused. Can you open up Town Fund 3 for me?
I don't, okay. Susan, I only have right now the packet that's online, the board packet.
Oh, you don't have the actual
Not,
bills?
but maybe I can help you. What's your question?
So 58005,
Okay.
158005V is voided. But it looks like it totals 3115, and there's a whole slew of things for recovery connections that look like they'd be part of 58002. But on this Town Fund 5 bill, I cannot find 58002. I just see the void. I don't see. I mean, I see a total of 2022 for 002. So I don't know if it's in that, but I just see a bunch of receipts here and I don't see anything.
So 3, 4, and 5 is voided. 3, 4, these are, Kelly, this is for like Metro Federal Credit Union, and those 3, 4, 5 are voided. So these are 0.
Okay, so why are all these receipts in here if they're all voided? What do these belong to? They're all recovery connection like receipts.
They must belong to 2, right?
That's
Yes.
what I was just saying.
Yes.
Okay.
They must belong to 2.
Okay, so I don't see any, like, I cannot reconcile like where the totals of all this are, because there's nothing, I don't see 2 on this. Maybe it's in Town Fund 4 or something. I've been going up and down and looking.
Wait, what are you looking for in Township 4?
See if you can find 58002.
The check number?
Yes.
That probably will be in Township.
Yeah, I have 58002 to Metro Federal Credit Union for recovery connection in the amount of $2,022.
Yes. Okay, so do you see receipts with that? Because I have all these receipts that.
I have 5 more before I get there, but I'll let you know.
Okay, because I guess I'm just not doing anything with 5 then, because it's all voided. But it didn't show a void. It just showed one check, 58005 for $31, and it doesn't show the 58005V. It just says 58005 Aisha. So on Township Bill 5, there's 58005, and there's one charge, and then there's a bunch of receipts.
That's void.
So you voided the 3115?
No, Susan, it belongs to Marty's charge. It has 4 checks which list all of the charges, and if you add all those up, it will equal $2,022.
Okay, I'm on it right now.
Okay, then everything in 5 is voided. All these.
Right. What they do, and I don't, I honestly question myself. They take good checks and they void them so that they can list all of the charges.
So my check, the one that's not void, that doesn't have the support behind it. So we should transfer the support from the void check to 58002.
I don't know which one you're talking about, Claire.
Okay, what Claire and I are saying is in Township Bill number 4, there is a 58002 for Metro Federal Credit Union.
Right.
She has no supporting documentation under 4 for that. I have a bunch of receipts with nothing to reconcile it with.
Yes, so we will move them.
So I don't know if that totals 2,000 because there's no,
we'll move.
It would be very helpful in the future if there was a one-page sheet that showed the checks totaling, because there's just all separate receipts for everything. So I don't know. It would be nice if it was all on one page so I could see that totaled the 2022. You follow me?
Yeah.
Are you talking about a one-page list of all of the charges?
Yes, everything. Whenever it's under like Metro Federal Credit Union, it's just helpful to see it on one page.
So instead of using 4 checks to write out all the different sub checks or sub invoices, you could just say see attached and have a summary.
Yes. A summary of all the charges.
What?
Yeah.
2,
Yeah, we can make sure it happens.
Yeah.
6.
This would be a better way to do it. Okay, so Susan, well, I guess Doreen or Viesha or Kelly, you guys are gonna take care of getting the all the support from Susan's voided checks, right? Susan, you have the support in your stack, correct?
I'm guessing that it is. It doesn't show that it's part of this, but I'm guessing that's what it is.
Wait, you're doing
Looks
which
like it's about
number?
2,000.
You're doing Town Fund 5?
Yes.
And in Town Fund 5, you have the support?
I have a bunch of recovery connection totals. just nothing summarized, but it's all Marty Cook Recovery Connection receipts. So I'm
But,
assuming that's what that is for.
okay, so I mean, therefore,
Yes. But in the
So, for
future, it
instance,
would really be
Salerno's
helpful to have a
Pizzeria.
one page, you know, it would be
you have
helpful to,
Salerno's Pizzeria, you have the actual receipt. I mean, I
Um,
could look at it too.
I
and
have, yeah, I have Chipotle, Unforgettable Edibles.
maybe we just say C, town
C-
fund number
Yeah,
5.
C5, right. It'd just be a whole lot easier if we could have a one-page sheet when he submits this and said, these are what the expenses are, in a summary sheet. Because
Okay, so did you check them or should I go to 5 to check them? Because I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more. I have 6
no,
more.
I mean,
on my
they're all here, and it looks like it looks like it totals like that
2,000. Why was that
2,000.
voided? Do we know? Is it a duplicate? Because mine is before yours.
None of those voided ones are on here. There's nothing on here that's voided. The only one I have is 58005 for $31, and that's not even on here. I mean,
Oh, I see. So my town fund number 4 ends with these checks, 58002 through the voided 58005. But
Okay.
your stack, town fund number 5, has the actual support. That's
it should, yeah.
all right.
And then 58005 for $31.15. I don't know if that was actually issued or not, because it's not a voided check. At least it says it was actually issued. I don't know. It doesn't say V next to it.
What number?
58005
Mine says voided.
for $31.15.
It's zero, it's void. Trustees.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, got it. That's fine. That's fine if that's voided. Then the rest of it, we just assume that, yeah, that it totals.
It does total. If you add up all of those that's listed on those 4 checks, it will equal $2,022.
Yeah, yeah.
And that 31 just happened to be an extra,
Okay.
figure they couldn't fit on the others, so they added an extra voided check. Check
Yeah.
it. The only thing that's voided is that check.
Yeah,
The charge is legitimate,
okay,
okay?
okay, okay. But in the future, it would be helpful if Marty could, total like what the charges and what it's from, on a one page. There's slice and ice or something. I can't read what this is, whatever. But like where it's from, the total amount, and then total them.
Okay. So are you done with town fund 5?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I'm done with town fund 4, so we're done with town fund. Is there anything left on road and bridge?
I did 3.
Where's Dave?
I don't know. I finished with 3, so I'm assuming he did 1 and 2.
Okay, I'm gonna go turn my light on so it's not so dark in here. I will be back in a couple minutes. Now, if I just figure out how to do that. Stop video. Yay.
And Dave's off this meeting.
Well,
Oh, man. There you go. Hi, Pete.
Hi, Laura. How are you?
Good. And you?
Doing good.
Great pictures from your trip.
Oh, yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Looked like it.
Good to get away, even just for a couple days.
Mm-hmm.
Pete. Hi, Pete.
Hi, oh, hi, Viesha. There you are. I'm looking all over. I'm like, who's talking?
Pete, did you get the email?
I did. Thank you.
Okay, cool.
Thanks for sending that over. Appreciate it.
thank you. Thank you.
Are we adjourning?
Road and Bridge is done. Dave was trying to get on. I just called him. He said it's,
Still not Barry. I don't see him. He's not in my waiting room.
said he was having problems. I don't know what happened.
No, I've got everybody. I just admitted Dana. I admitted Pete. I don't know. He was on before. You want to text him, Susan? And
I
tell him
am
literally
texting
the
him.
same.
I mean, he said he was trying to get on, so I don't know what the problem is.
I'll invite him. To elect. What is it? DAC at AOL?
Elect, I don't know.
Oh, hang on. I'm gonna enter Donna Adam while I'm doing. See, like everybody else, I don't know what he's having an issue with because. All right, I just admitted Donna Adam, and okay, I just sent him an invite.
Hi, Donna.
All right, so I do not know. I just invited him.
calling, seeing.
These things don't. Oh, absolutely. Come on. You know better.
She's trying to invite you, but you're not even in. Are you? You're not in the waiting room or anything, so everybody else is coming. Donna and Earl
All
are.
right, now I see him. Okay,
Okay, all right.
now I have him. He should be here somewhere. Somewhere. Dave, are you here? Carrie Lynn, do you see him? I admitted him. I don't see his picture. I mean, I see Donna. I see Rat. Wait, I just heard. There he is. Okay. All right. Okay, let's unmute him. And all right, he is unmuted, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. It being
I ran into some problems, Laura, with an update that came through for some reason, some security update. But in any event, I did Road and Bridge, except I couldn't find the 217 check.
we're having like trouble with your
For gas, I'm not worried about that.
okay. We're having a little trouble with your talking. I don't know. You're cutting out every other
With
word.
my audio?
Yeah. So what did you have trouble with?
The only one I did Road and Bridge, one that was I didn't see the invoice for, and I doubled back, it was the Nicor gas check number 21467. But it's 21467 for Nicor gas. What was the amount? I couldn't find it, but I'm sure it's fine.
Okay.
We can maybe find it, stick it in there.
Yeah, you know what?
Well-
It's earlier. So there's like gonna be like a bunch of stuff in between that and
It's like the fifth entry.
right, correct. But then 6/8 is like the 20th. A little exaggerated.
Yeah.
But we'll make sure it's there. All right. So I promise you, we want to pay night court.
Yes, we do.
All right. Now, gavel. Calling the meeting to order. It being a little past 7:30 on Tuesday, August 25th, 2020. I'm going to read that whole preamble again. This meeting will be conducted by video conference without a physically present quorum of the Maine Township Board because of the disaster declaration related to COVID-19 public health concerns affecting the township pursuant to Senate Bill 2135, which Governor Pritzker previously signed. The township supervisor having determined that it is unfeasible, not practical or prudent to have an in-person meeting at the building because of the disaster. Township officials, legal counsel will not be physically present at the building. Physical public attendance at the township building is possible, but may be limited or not feasible. So alternative arrangements for public access had previously been made. And previously, to obtain the password to connect to this meeting, the directions were in the agenda. This meeting is also going to be video recorded, is being live streamed and made available to the public as required by law. All right. So I'm calling the meeting to order. Clerk Gialamas, can you take the roll? Is he here?
You want to do the pledge first, or?
Yeah, but they have it second.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll do roll first then. Highway Commissioner Kazmierczak.
Here.
Assessor Moylan Cry.
She told me she was gonna be absent.
Okay. Clerk Gialam is here. Supervisor Marask.
Yeah.
Trustee Jones.
Here.
Trustee McKenzie. She's
Oh,
muted, but
she's
she's here.
Muted.
She's definitely here.
Trustee Carabota.
Here.
I'm here. Sorry.
And no
I was
problem,
muted.
Trustee Sweeney.
Here.
All right. Now, if you can all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Or there's Pete's flag. Pete, you want to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Excellent. All right. Now, moving right along. We have a speaker who's going to go ahead of, who's under new business, the discussion and vote on the flood remediation project for Prairie Creek and Farmers Creek, with seeking a commitment to negotiate an intergovernmental agreement. And that would be Joe Kratzer. I'm going to unmute him, and you got that in your board packets. He has to go to his son's 8:15 school something. Joe, are you there?
I'm here. Can you all hear me?
Hi, Joe.
Hi.
Yep.
Hi. So Joe and myself, Carrie Lynn, have been working very closely, just to give you a little heads up on this, with the MWRD, and originally they were only going to do Farmers Creek, and they have agreed to include Prairie Creek, which is great news. So it's what the slides are about. And Greg Koch is also in the room, who is part of their team. And, we took the first, if this board took the first step towards flooding in Maine Township, I think it would be an absolute tremendous thing. Take it away, Joe.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, trustees and other Maine Township officials. Some of you we've spoken to in the past, and I appreciate the opportunity for us to give you a quick presentation to kind of give you an update on the activities we've been pursuing to try to provide flood relief in Maine Township. It doesn't look like I have the ability to share my screen, but it sounds like you all have the slides. So unless somebody wants to set up screen sharing for me, which would be great, but not necessary, I can go ahead and just kind of walk you through the slides that we
Why don't you walk us through it, and then if we need to, I will.
Great.
I think you disabled it, Laura, so if you enable it, maybe?
No, I know how to do it, but this is like not meant to be like, you're not voting on spending the money tonight. It's not that. So let's let him talk first, and then
Isn't it helpful for people that are viewing it at home and on,
we're gonna see if we need to do that, because it's a map. So while he's talking, I'll make sure that happens.
Screen. This is what we're reviewing, right? All of it.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, that's one of the things. I mean, there's a.
Yeah, so the first slide that we provided, it really, it just some basic information about the project, showing the location. The project has a number of different locations along Prairie Creek and Farmers Creek, as it kind of weaves in and out of Park Ridge, Niles, Des Plaines, and unincorporated Maine Township, primarily located in Park Ridge and Maine Township.
That really work.
Okay, now your screen share is enabled.
Oh, okay. Let me, yeah, perfect. Let me just find my right screen here. Let's see here. Bear with me one second. I just got to move it over to my other screen and it'll pop right up here.
This is why I hate screen share. It never works.
I agree. Or I should say second.
Right? Dave and I are in the old school.
That's right.
Okay.
Don't worry, it won't be the end of the world if you can't.
Let's see here.
There you go. You got it.
Okay, great.
All right. There we go. Look at that.
Very nice.
Okay, so I won't dwell on this. It's really just a kind of get your bearings here. There's a number of locations along Farmer and Prairie Creek where we're proposing improvements to relieve flooding, where the flooding is coming out of the banks of those creeks and affecting structures. So the next slide here.
Wait, which one's Farmers Creek and which one's Prairie Creek?
So Farmer Creek originates up at Lake Marianne, just north of Gulf Road and on the east side of the tollway. And it runs south to Dempster, where it joins with Prairie Creek. And then Farmer and Prairie Creek together off this page discharge into the Des Plaines River. So we have been referring to Farmer/Prairie Creek as one tributary. There are two separate systems that feed into the Des Plaines River, so they're a tributary of the Des Plaines River watershed.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The next slide, it just provides a little bit of the background. There have been studies in this area that date back to the 80s, and there are probably some that dated back even further than that, but both the Army Corps of Engineers and the Illinois Department of Natural Resources did perform studies back in the 80s and 90s on Farmer and Prairie Creek to try to identify some alternatives for solving flooding problems in along those creeks. In 2004, the Water Reclamation District received the general authority to manage stormwater in Cook County. Previously, there was not an agency like us assigned to address flooding along waterways like the program we have now. And one of the first things we did was detailed watershed plans for each of the 6 major watersheds in Cook County. And the Lower Des Plaines River detailed watershed plan was completed in 2011. That looked at the Des Plaines River, main stem, and 14 tributary subwatersheds, including Farmer and Prairie Creek, and identified flooding problem areas and potential flood control projects or solutions to those.
Dave, pardon my interruption on this, but I'm sorry, I just needed to back up because I didn't get to hear your real introduction. And what group are you part of?
Okay, so thank you. So I am with the Stormwater Management Group at the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District of Greater Chicago.
And I was.
Oh, sorry, maybe that was a little echo. And our group has been working on these stormwater issues since 2004, when the state legislator gave us authority to manage stormwater for Cook County. And so since then, we've been doing studies, and out of those studies came projects. And one of the projects that was approved out of the 2011 Lower Des Plaines study was a project to alleviate flooding along Farmer and Prairie Creek. The projects that were recommended in those plans were evaluated on the benefit cost ratio. In this area, there was significant flooding, and we were able to identify a cost-effective solution. So it had a positive benefit cost ratio, and we were approved from our board to initiate preliminary engineering to basically confirm that there was a feasible project and make sure that the benefits were positive. And we were able to complete preliminary engineering and move to final design a few years back. On the next slide, this talks about Prairie Creek. So as mentioned earlier, there were different pieces of the project along both Farmer and Prairie Creek, and I'll just highlight really quickly. I know there's a lot of words on this slide, but just the areas within Maine Township that we plan to improve. Those are what we call sublocations FRCR 8 and FRCR 9. Those are just designations for the individual elements. And they include work along Prairie Creek from D to Potter, which include a culvert replacement, riprap removal along the creek, regrading of the creek banks, and in some places installation of retaining wall. And basically what these improvements do will improve the conveyance, the amount of flow that can pass through the creek so that it's not constricted and backing up into people's homes, overtopping roads, impacting businesses and that sort of thing. FRCR 9, sorry, I'm going a little backward, working my way back up the screen here, is along Prairie Creek from Greenwood to Parkside. And at Greenwood, there's some additional riprap removal and articulated mat installation. What that is that kind of a blend between a hardscape and a landscaped bank treatment. Really used in areas where there's fast moving flows and there's, the chance of the creek bank eroding to a point where structures could be at danger of either falling into the creek or, and it also helps improve the conveyance along the creek. At Ballard Road, there's a culvert replacement that's needed for an undersized culvert, again causing restrictions where the water in the creek can back up and get into people's homes or businesses. And then in a area just adjacent to Ballard Road, we'll also be doing some regrading and channel realignment to take some kind of like unnatural bends out of the creek system so that it flows better and more efficiently. Just at Parkside Drive, there is a portion of the creek that's going to be daylighted. And then there's some other improvements, both upstream and downstream in Dempster, along Dempster and at Lutheran General on Prairie Creek that are in Park Ridge. The proposed projects will actually provide a significant benefit during the 100-year storm event by lowering the flood profile by a foot, which is very significant, and it'll provide benefits to approximately 125 structures that are currently impacted by flooding.
What did you say? You got cut out there. 125 structures.
There's 125 structures that are affected by flooding along Farmers and Prairie Creek. And I'm sorry, just along Prairie Creek. And this project will reduce the impacts of flooding to those structures. And in some cases, it will completely remove those structures entirely from the threat of a flood up to a 100-year design storm.
And how many of those 125 structures are in unincorporated Maine Township?
There is a good portion of them. I might have to get back to you with that number. Let me see if maybe one of the other folks listening in from our staff have that handy, and I could come back and answer that question for you a little bit later. But thank you for the question.
Thank you.
The ones along Prairie Creek, or the improvements along Prairie Creek, are mostly in Maine Township, other than the LGH and the Park Ridge, who, when he keeps going, they're going to get an IGA from Park Ridge as well.
Correct. Yeah, I would say off the top of my head that the majority of those benefits are in unincorporated Maine Township. Some of the actual improvements happening in Park Ridge, they will benefit both the village or the city and Park Ridge.
And when you say structures, how many of those are actual, like private homes versus businesses, you know?
The majority are private homes. There are a few businesses along Dempster Street where I don't know that the businesses are actually flooding. Like I know there's quite a few businesses along Dempster, but their access is definitely blocked. So many of the businesses will see an improvement or a benefit from that perspective. A lot of them, I believe, are condos and apartment buildings. And they're, a lot of them are multi-unit buildings. So you would see benefits to 125 structures, but, a lot more individual residents throughout the township.
Okay. Before you flip that page, I guess that was, yeah. I just had one other question. When you say Prairie Creek,
Susan, can we let him get, this is really meant to be a brief overview. Can we just let him get through that and then we're going to have questions? Can we do that?
that's fine.
Thanks.
Yeah, we have to answer questions.
And Joe, please
Sure.
keep it brief because this is not where we're actually spending any money.
Gotcha.
This is the overview of the project.
So moving on, the current status of this project is that we do have design up to about a 90% level. We had hired a consultant team that really did a thorough job investigating all of the different alternatives through preliminary design, and then in final design, we got near the finish line, but we had quite a bit of issues come up with regard to some of the planned improvements. In the slide, we mentioned the redesign of the project at the Lutheran General Hospital. There's also been a few property owners asking for some slight modifications to the design. And then we also have to get quite a number of easements along the private property in order to make sure that we can construct the project and it can be maintained after it's constructed. We still have to obtain a number of permits. I mentioned agencies like Army Corps and DNR before. Those are agencies that we have to get permits from. And then really the crux of what we're talking about tonight is intergovernmental agreements. We will need an intergovernmental agreement with both Maine Township as well as a separate intergovernmental agreement with Park Ridge to move forward with the project. We have already spent a significant amount of dollars just doing the studies and the design for both of the projects so far. But before we commit to spending additional funds to complete the design and go to construction phase, we do want to make sure that those IGAs are in place. In terms of what the IGAs require, the district would be performing all of the design, construction, basically making the capital investment. And this is the same thing that we do across Cook County in all communities. In most cases like this, we will go in on a project along a waterway and we'll take the lead on the design, construction, and then turn over the maintenance to the local municipality. In the agreement, we will spell out what are those requirements. And we've actually taken it a step further for these projects and provided an estimated cost just for budgeting purposes. As you can see, there's inspection requirements, there's some annual mowing, and then if there's any repairs needed in the future, those would be something that the local jurisdiction will be responsible for. Based on the improvements that we're planning to install, we had projected an annual budgeted cost for the maintenance of $11,800 for the improvements in Maine Township. That does not include any improvements within the city of Park Ridge, where they would be responsible under a separate IGA for maintaining those improvements.
And Joe, that includes both Lake Marianne and Prairie Creek, correct?
No, actually, we did separate out the Lake Marianne, and let me just get to that really quickly. The major components at Lake Marianne on Farmers Creek are installing a new outlet because the existing outlet is inadequate, and the pond actually backs up and gets into people's homes along the lakefront. So we're going to be installing new outlets there so that it can adequately convey the existing flood flows. There are 13 additional residential structures there that would be provided protection. Same thing, we are about 95% done with the project. We're a little bit closer to having this one shovel ready. We do also need some easements and permits. And then again here, this is an unincorporated area. So in that agreement with Maine Township, we'd like to see that put in place before we finalize and get ready to construct the project. And here's just a real quick summary of the Maine Township maintenance requirements along Farmer Creek that we envision. Same type of thing with biannual inspections after storm events, and then some additional cleaning of the culverts that are being installed there, along with closed circuits TV inspections of the pipes every 5 years, so not every year. But the average annual budget for that project is $2,200. So in all, it comes out to $13,000.
$13,000, yeah.
Okay.
So I just want to say, is it okay if I say something really quickly?
Are you done with your overview? I mean, that's a great summary of all this.
Yeah, I just have this next slide for next steps, and then that's pretty much it, just a timeline to close out.
Can you go over next step?
Yeah, can we just, Kim, let him just finish this?
Sure, and if that doesn't answer your questions, I can certainly answer them after. So like I mentioned, we do want a commitment from the local jurisdictions through an intergovernmental agreement. The district would be responsible for completing the design, obtaining all permits and easements, coordinating with utility companies for relocations as needed, and we would oversee the construction. There are some requirements and some permits from the Army Corps to ensure that the vegetation along the stream banks are established, and if that's a requirement of the permit, we would make sure that that's done following construction. Under the agreement, in your case, Maine Township would actually own all improvements and maintain those after the construction is done. They would be turned over to the township. Similarly with the village. So those improvements in your jurisdiction, whether you're the township or the city, would be the local jurisdictions to own and maintain. And then the last slide is just the timeline. We'd like this calendar year is sooner is always better to obtain commitment from both jurisdictions to negotiate a formal IGA for the project with those responsibilities I outlined earlier. We would resume the property easement acquisition process, submit for permits, and get the design done. We may have to hire a new consultant. We're looking at options there to kind of keep the process moving along as seamlessly as possible. And then next year, we would look to complete the designs, make sure all the permits and easements are secured, and advertise the project with construction following the in 2022. This is probably a multi-year construction project that can be phased at the different locations. We would certainly work with both the township, the city of Park Ridge, and other jurisdictions like IDOT to coordinate the schedule on the work. We certainly don't want to come in and shut down every road in town to do it, or block people's access to their homes. We're always very conscious of that when we construct these projects. But it looks like it would be at least a at least a 2-year project. That's all the slides I have, and if anybody has questions for me, I'd be happy to try to.
All right, Trustee Jones.
Okay, I don't have a question. I have a comment. I was a member of the Park Ridge Flood Control Task Force for 4 years, and so I have a general knowledge of this beyond the scope of what we're talking. about tonight. And also Highway Commissioner Kazmierczyk, myself, and Bob Brzezinski met with you guys about, what was it, about 5 years ago, Wally?
It was maybe
4 years ago?
it was
No.
the year before
No.
he died, so it was 2 years ago.
Yeah, right. And we discussed this, and at that time, nobody had an appetite, so I cannot tell you how pleased I am that this project is actually going to happen. This is fantastic, because I was on the flood control task force about, I don't know, about 2008 to 2012, and Park Ridge did many studies, and they did many projects that help mitigate flooding in Park Ridge. Des Plaines has done some. And then I know that we were working with Cook County and Metropolitan Water Reclamation on Dempster Street. And it has had significant impact. I mean, we have a long way to go, but this area has needed this for some time. And considering we are the ones that are in charge of taking care of the residents in Maine Township, this is fantastic. And I really want to thank you for coming out and giving us the presentation and all the background information, because these are very important projects. So thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments.
I'd like to say something.
I'm Highway Commissioner Kazmierczyk.
The reason there was no appetite for this a year and a half ago was that there was a gentleman, Pedro Ortiz. I think he was.
He's on the call.
Oh, he is. Okay. And he had said that as far as maintenance costs, it could be as, this is my recollection, I don't have notes of the meeting, but it could be as high as $40,000 a year.
No, I understand. That's why we've been having all these discussions and whatnot. And I was thrilled that they were gonna, you know, agree. Last you and I talked, it was just Farmers Creek. So,
yeah. But it, you know, it's still gonna be, well, 11,000 could be absorbed, I would think.
Well, and
but
from each of our high, you know, capital funds. I mean,
well, it depends on who's footing the bill. If we split it, or the township pays for it, because let's say it is the more onerous amount, 40,000. Well,
it's not.
Yeah. Well, now it's not. It was a year and a half.
Right, but like, let's talk. That's what I'm saying. It's not.
And remember this. Anything catastrophic, you know, they wash their hands of this when it's over.
No, I understand.
You know,
but everybody, you know, in my opinion, everybody always says this. I was unwilling prior because it was only Lake Marianne. And I thought
12 homes.
Yeah, and that was like all private homes of very wealthy people that, you know, had their own association.
You know,
and this is our people that complain to us on a regular basis.
But, you
know, well, there's our township.
You know, future budgets, they're going to have to factor this in.
Sure.
Okay, but when there's a catastrophic event, there's always costs incurred that we don't have budgeted. So, you know, you have to weigh the risk and the benefit. If we maintain it regularly, hopefully, and we actually do the project, hopefully that will mitigate a catastrophic event and the problems that are directly that
you know,
years. That's just an engineering term. That's not actually what it is. It doesn't just.
You know, I've already discussed with the engineering service that we use, and the Prairie Creek is up by Lake Marianne.
No, that's Farmers Creek, Wally, and you did verify that they were dead on, right?
Well, the
engineer on the estimation.
He also said if the pipe underneath Gulf Road would somehow be compromised, you're talking about huge amounts of money. But he claims that's very rare or not. But it would also be nice about that Lake Marianne if they would, in the back end, there's a couple of households that get flooded because the people who live on Lake Marianne put furniture and logs so that it affects the fact that their level of their pond doesn't go over because it ticks back into somebody else's yard. If that could be looked at and rectified, well, and if the project is successful, that probably won't be an issue because there's no reason to block it. But every time there's a major rainstorm, you know, my guys are unplugging those holes. So that's another.
Yeah, and actually, Wally, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Are you done with your comments?
Yes.
I just wanted, okay, thanks. I just wanted to address a couple of things you mentioned and just reassure you and the other trustees and folks on the call today that, you know, when we had come up with the earlier estimate, we were really being extremely conservative in that, in kind of reevaluating the need for inspections, who do those inspections, you know, what hours are really required to go out and do that on a regular basis. And after storm events, we were able to kind of fine tune that. And I know you did get a chance to look at the more detailed breakdown, and I hope you feel comfortable with that. With regard to the issue at the north end of Farmer Creek or Lake Marianne, you mentioned that your staff has had to go out and remove furniture or whatnot. We are installing some improvements there so that it'll be difficult. I wouldn't say impossible. It'll be a lot more difficult for anybody to just try to, you know, to block the flow with that in mind. So hopefully those days of you having to go out there on a regular basis and clear out debris and mattresses and furniture and that type of thing will be a thing of the past.
It just affects several households at the most. It's not like a whole subdivision is being flooded, but it's still for the residents who have to put up with the flooded lawn. It's pretty annoying. But yeah, I mean, $11,000 can be absorbed, whether it's the highway department or split between the township or the highway department. But 40 is a sizable chunk of money.
Well, we're not talking 40.
No. I mean, I'm saying but it's less of a deal breaker. Let's put it that.
Yeah, and it's like, frankly, if this board can do what has not been done in the 20 years I've been on it, that is, instead of talking and doing more and more and more studies, actually do something. This is proposing to reduce the level of the Des Plaines River by a foot. That's like unbelievable. I didn't know that until I just saw that slide. And that's unbelievable. So, you know, our township building is right smack dab in the middle of this. It will certainly help our parking lot and the flooding around our building. But I mean, so are all of the people that we routinely help on these 100-year floods. So,
and the gentleman that spoke last meeting as well, right, Laura?
Exactly.
I mean, this would address that issue.
Yes, exactly. And
because
for this price of 11,000 or 13 with the Lake Marianne and the Farmers Creek, it's a bargain. I mean, it, you know, whether we split it out of each capital fund or, you know, whatever the, you know, proportion is, that's what capital funds are for. I know when Claire started on the board, you know, she was always interested in flood remediation. We talked about it many times, and as are you, Wally, and, you know, everybody. So this is our #1 complaint, literally. I mean, other than current COVID aside. But okay, let me unmute you, Dave. Trustee Carabota has a question.
Yeah, we had, when we first started our board meetings with this current board, we also had a resident in residence from Dempster Street, just west of Portillo's, that came before us. Laura, as you remember, they have flooding in their alley that's regular recurrence, basically an ice rink back there in the winter. And we're hoping here that this will help remediate that. Peter and I also attended a very informative meeting together on this project before. And we've attended a ribbon cutting with the Water Reclamation District. So yeah, this board's been on this, and Joe, we very much appreciate all the work that's done here. And I really think if you look at $40,000, it's a lot of money. But if we're looking tonight at spending $11,000 for carpeting, 40,000 really isn't that much. And as
No,
Laura
but
knows,
it's only 13,000.
yeah, it's an investment. 40,000 is really an investment if it's if
wait.
we need to into the community.
Well, that was the year.
No, it's not 40,000. It's only 13,000.
But it's 13,000, but there was questions about what if it could be 40,000 or whatever. I
No,
think
that
this
was
is such
the
a serious situation, as you pointed out, Laura, before, that, I mean, the cost and benefit ratio is
Right. That's
huge here. So.
No,
I just wanted to make sure you understood it wasn't.
Yeah, it's right. It's 11.
Right.
It's 11 and 2, 13,000.
Exactly. And which is like, to me, a bargain.
Yeah,
for
very good.
the
Very
fund
good.
That for the benefits. That,
Right.
This board, okay, Trustee Sweeney.
Yes, Dave, the 13 would be solely for us to pay, right? Not
Right.
part of the inter.
Correct, for me.
Just want to get clarification in that, right? The 11,800 plus the 2,200.
For maintenance.
Okay, now that's maintenance. The hire of the consultant as the, projected timeline we talked about, I just wanted to get an idea if that's something, you said you may have to, you're not sure about that piece for the rest of the design completion. What do you estimate that to be, and would that be divided within?
No, that's their cost.
Park Ridge.
That's their cost.
Yeah, no, the like I said, we haven't, so the design consultant that did the preliminary and engineering up to this point, they ran out of funds for the project, so we did not keep them on. It's been kind of a slowdown on the project because we were kind of hitting a wall with some of the property acquisition and easement efforts. So that team may not come back to work on the project, but the district does have other existing engineering contracts that we may be able to utilize. Worst case scenario, we may have to go out for an RFP. And I shouldn't say worst case scenario. It's just another possibility that could take a little bit longer than using an existing consultant.
The district bears the cost of that.
No.
So the district will bear the entire cost of all of the design and construction
I'm
costs.
just confirming that. Okay, thank you.
So tonight, what they're looking for, to cut to the chase, is a commitment to negotiate an IGA before the end of the year. And so it'll be on, assuming they can get it, this IGA, they'll send us, we already did one or have one in place that is ready to go for the Lake Marianne end of it. So, assuming that Joe and his team gets this to us, December, January, right, Joe? Then what we're looking for tonight is just a commitment to negotiate that idea. Correct?
That's correct. Yes.
All
Yes.
right. So that's what the vote's going to be. That's what I want to make, why I didn't mean to interrupt you earlier, Trustee Sweeney. It's just that, like, the in-depth of the ins and outs of it will be at the next, at the IGA discussion level. Because this is, a commitment to negotiate the IGA.
Yeah, and just like your board, we will have to go back to our board for authority to enter into an IGA. So we would envision a similar process where it's kind of a two-step: authority to negotiate, which we've already gotten from our board, and then after we come to terms on the agreement, we would go back for authority to enter into. And at that point, then we could go full steam ahead with the design and get this project constructed.
your board, I think, already approved something about the intergovernmental agreement for the Lake Mary Ann project?
They gave us authority to negotiate that one.
Negotiate, right.
Yep. And we already had, really the authority to negotiate, I think is all good on our end. That's kind of what we're looking for your board to mirror today, to just, make a commitment to negotiate in good faith to, have an agreement that spells out these roles and responsibilities and puts them on paper.
Mhm.
Our purpose of doing this, I'm sorry, I thought I saw a hand come up, but let me finish really quick, is just to make sure that after the district makes significant capital investments throughout Cook County on projects like this, to make sure that those investments are protected. And we certainly always strive to work into our design the least, the most maintenance-free type of improvements that we can find. So we're not looking to install something that's going to cost the local communities too much money to maintain.
Okay.
Trustee McKenzie.
Will this help all of that flooding around Lutheran General in the unincorporated area? Because I can't tell on this where that is. Is that by Lake Mary Ann?
It is listed. Look at the page. You look at the map and you follow that green line. It's literally right around. It goes all the way to to Dempster and Dempster and Greenwood. So Lutheran General is right in there.
The short answer is yes, it will provide a lot of relief to the flooding. The flooding that we're talking about is primarily overbank flooding coming out of the creek when the creek and those ponds reach their capacity and have nowhere to go but out onto the streets and into people's yards and their homes. There probably are some ancillary benefits that we're not really quantifying, in that drainage that is trying to get to the creek will now have that ability when the creek is kept within its banks.
Sorry, there's that retention pond, or I don't know if it's really a retention pond, but by Lutheran General, that seems to be a problem. Is that?
Yeah, there are two ponds at Lutheran General that'll be modified to increase their capacity.
That's the west pond it's referred to here, right?
Yeah, there's a west pond.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then there's some improvements proposed on the east pond as well. Not as much, but those will help to, as the water, we're trying, like I said, to make conveyance improvements. As the water is moving more efficiently through the system, it needs to basically slow down when it hits those ponds. And then the conveyance improvements downstream will help to make sure that it gets safely to its destination on the Des Plaines River. And the ponds also make sure that we're not just pushing the problem from one area to another. So by expanding those ponds, we can kind of damper the effects of the flood flows to make sure that the creek is staying in bank for those significant storm events. Now, I will say this, because I don't like to give people the sense that this is going to solve every single flooding problem in your community. It won't. There can always be a bigger event. I mean, we don't control Mother Nature, as you all well know. There can be these really high, intense, short duration bursts. And sometimes the local systems or the creek systems just can't handle those. But this will be a vast improvement over the capacity, both for conveyance and storage in the existing watershed.
So we're not asking you to solve COVID, murder hornets, or the intersection of Hurricane Laura with Hurricane, how about that? With Hurricane Marco, I think it is. That has never happened in history. So we know you can't.
The lowering of the water level is very significant, though.
Very significant. That actually, Joe, I didn't know that till just now. We talked how many times? That is amazing.
Yeah. And I think about that pond, that Robin Drive, we know we've had a problem with, which is directly west of that pond in Lutheran General. We've had many residents complain, and I don't know if there needs to be any kind of retention wall, because I know you're putting the retaining wall at other places, but you know, just looking at that street would be helpful to, you know, as it's going down in the final designs.
Yeah, I remember looking at the drawings. I know there are improvements by Robin Drive, and
Okay, great.
we'll certainly take a close look to
I mean,
make sure.
it's not walkable when the ice comes. It's terrible. So for
Yeah.
the residents, so that'll be very helpful.
Unless you have skate rink. All right. So I am now going to call this question because Joe has an 8:15. You're late to your kids' meeting. At least I keep track of your meetings. So I'm going to call the question. And the question is this, and I think all the trustees are unmuted. The question is this. You know, I'll make the motion to commit to negotiating an intergovernmental agreement with MWRD for Farmers Creek and Prairie Creek with respect to what has been presented to us tonight.
Second.
Having a motion and a second, an extensive discussion. Clerk Gilamas, can you call, oops, he's the one person I got on mute. Clerk Gilamas, there you go. Can you call the roll?
Supervisor Marask,
Absolutely.
Trustee Jones,
Yes, absolutely.
Trustee McKenzie,
Yes.
Trustee Carabota,
Yes.
and Trustee Sweeney.
Enthusiastically, yes.
All right, you got a unanimous, Joe. And so you and your team did a great job. And you'll let me and Carrie Lynn know when you've got the IGA ready for the other stage, and then we'll put it on the board. And remember the timeline I gave.
Yes, yep. I anticipate that we should be able to get you over an IGA well before the November, December timeframe. But
Okay.
we will be posted as we progress.
Okay.
Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
All right, have a good evening.
Thank you too.
You too. Thank you so much. All right. Now we're going to go back to regular business, and I would ask for an approval of the minutes of the July 27th bill pay review.
I vote to approve
Motion
the
minutes of the July 27th bill pay review, waive the reading.
Second.
Having a motion and a second, is there any discussion? Hearing none, Clerk Gilamas, can you call the roll?
Supervisor Marask,
Yeah.
Trustee Jones,
Yes.
Trustee McKenzie,
Yes.
Trustee Carabota,
Yes.
Trustee Sweeney.
Yes.
Okay. Now we need a motion for approval of the minutes of the July 27th, 2020 board meeting.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the board meeting referenced waive reading.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any discussion, deletions, additions, or changes?
Yes.
All right, Trustee Sweeney.
I have two. The first one is on second page. Can I do a screen share?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see if I can find, oh gosh. Can you see that?
Oh, those are your replacement?
Yes, okay, so on page 2, the top first paragraph, the first sentence says Trustee Sweeney commented that the board meetings already should be attended in person by the elected officials. I'm asking you to strike that and replace it with Trustee Sweeney suggested changing the language of the agenda to make it more welcoming in order to accommodate the residents who may want to come in person because they don't have computers.
That's fine. I remember that. That's fine.
Okay. Second, on page 5, I just, at the bottom of the page where it's in reference to the elected officials' compensation. After the last sentence, I'm requesting an addition, and the addition would be, so after Supervisor Marasco suggested keeping the same compensations due to the fact that they were reduced significantly in 2017, to add also Trustee Sweeney presented her data collection of various surrounding Cook County Township elected official salaries that include Niles, Elk Grove, Palatine, Northfield, Norwood Park, and New Trier and Schaumburg. And actually, I want to just say one other thing and say see attached. So
I don't have any problem with it. Does anybody else have a problem?
okay,
with
and
it?
then I will send that to you, Viesha. So thank you.
Okay. All right. So whoever made the initial motion and second, I'm assuming that you're amending. I mean, motion is.
I would amend the motion to read the approval of the Maine Township Board meeting July 27, 2020, with amendments as proffered by Trustee Sweeney, and waive further reading.
Nice, second.
All right, Clerk Lamas, can you call the roll?
Supervisor Marask?
Yeah.
Trustee Jones?
Yes.
Trustee McKenzie?
Yes.
Trustee Carabota?
Yes.
Trustee Sweeney?
Yes.
Okay, now I need a motion to approve the general assistance expenditures.
Motion to approve payroll for pay dates of August 7th, 2020 and August 21st, 2020. General assistance checks number 52875 through check number 52929 in the amount of $44,652.87.
Second.
Okay, having a motion and a second, Clerk Lamas, can you call the roll?
Supervisor Marask?
Yes.
Trustee Jones?
Yes.
Trustee McKenzie?
Yes.
Trustee Carabota?
Yes.
Trustee Sweeney?
I just have a question. I thought that the amounts was $44,652.87.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Did you? Okay. Yes. I'll vote yes.
Okay, so now I need a motion to approve the road district.
Motion to approve payroll for pay dates of August 7, 2020 and August 21, 2020, and road district checks 21464 through check 21503 in the amount of $74,703.05.
Second.
Second.
All right, having a motion and a second, Clerk Lamas, can you call the roll?
Supervisor Marask?
Yes.
Trustee Jones?
Yes.
Trustee McKenzie?
Yes.
Trustee Carabota?
Yes.
Trustee Sweeney?
Yes.
Right, now I need a motion to approve the general town fund expenditures.
I can do that. Motion to approve payroll for pay dates of August 7th, 2020 and August 21st, 2020, and general town fund checks number 57942 through check number 58012 in the total amount of $310,283.11.
Second.
Motion and second, Clerk Lamas, can you call the roll?
Supervisor Marask?
Yes.
Trustee Jones?
Yes.
Trustee McKenzie?
Yes.
Trustee Carabota? Oh,
Yes.
okay, there we go. Thought you froze for a minute there. Trustee Sweeney?
Yes.
All right, next item of business is the second phase carpeting replacement. Dana, you want to take it away on this? I don't know if Mike is there.
There, but sure. So
Oh, there he is. Never mind.
okay,
Sorry.
either one is fine.
Hi, everybody. So this is
Hi,
the final
Mikey.
piece. Hello. It's the final piece. It's going to be just, we're about to get the common areas done in the middle of September. And then this would be the final piece is the boardroom. So recommending to go with Milano Interiors, $10,347, and it is the same company that has done the first two phases as well.
And that will come out of capital fund, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right. And does anybody have any questions of Mike before I make this motion?
It's like, I just would like to make sure that's definitely Mike behind that mask over there.
It is.
I'll accept the confirmation.
It's an impossible.
Right? Mike, when did you go down to one mask? The last time
No,
I
he
saw you
didn't.
was 3.
He didn't. There's 2.
Oh. All righty. Good job. Thanks for overseeing this. So
Yeah.
the next time you see the boardroom, it'll be like magic. It'll be
different.
Wonderful.
all right. Then I'm gonna make a motion to accept Mike's recommendation of going with Milano Interiors. What was the price, Maggie?
$10,347.
$10,347.
Second.
All right, motion and second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Clerk Chulamas, can you call the roll?
Supervisor Marask,
Yes.
Trustee Jones,
Yes.
Trustee McKenzie,
Yes.
Trustee Carabota,
Yes.
Trustee Sweeney.
Yes.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank
Much
you.
appreciated.
Thank you.
All right. The next item and last item of, well, not last, but the next item of business is the setting of elected officials' compensation, which had been tabled from July meeting. So first of all, I want to thank Dana tremendously. First, and Doreen. Doreen pointed out to me that the June Perspective had a fabulous article, which I did include in your board packets, about the difference between Zone 1 and other zones. And then really a big thank you to Dana for answering all the board's various questions and adding another list in there to the best of her ability of amount of employees, part-time, full-time. I had also put on the spreadsheet the amount of people served by that township. So you should all have those in the board packet. And so the previous motion had been tabled, and that is the motion that, Carrie Lynn, do I have to untable, like, or make the same motion? What do I, or does it just untable itself?
You can make a motion to remove it from the table.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion to remove that from the table. And that motion had been to keep the elected officials' compensation and benefits the same as previously. Is there a second? And this is to untable. So, all right, having a motion and a second. Clerk Chulamas, can you call the roll on the untable?
Supervisor Marask,
Yes.
Trustee Jones,
Yes.
Trustee McKenzie,
So can we discuss it before we?
No, this is just to untable it.
It's
So
to
that we
untable.
can
Table.
Oh,
Bring
yeah.
it back up.
bring it back. Yeah, this is just that procedural thing in order to do that.
Yes.
Trustee Carabota,
Yes.
Trustee Sweeney.
Yes.
Okay, now, now that motion has been made, and seconded, and now it is open to, of course, further discussion. So, this is gonna be orderly, and one at a time. So who wants to go first?
I can.
Sweeney.
So I guess maybe I should screen share, and we could also screen share what Dana had done in her charts, if somebody can pull that up.
That's okay. I mean, unless you need it, you have it, right, in the board packets?
What I'm trying to screen share is,
Yours is not yet. So like, if you can go ahead and screen share yours, we'll see if we need to screen share the one that has previously been in both board packets.
I'm not sure what this one is. Is this the one?
That's the one you did.
That's the one
Okay.
you did last
So,
month.
yeah, so this is the one that I did last month. And the one that's in the board packet, just for clarification, didn't include most of these townships. So I was a little disappointed because I had done the work to show, you know, what these townships that are directly surrounding us have actually, you know, what those salaries were. And now, since I know Dana did incorporate it, which I'm thankful for, and she's got a total of 19 in the spreadsheet that Dana had done, which include these. What I will point out that I noticed this afternoon when I was going through and just looking at the actual data that I have here for Northfield, if you look on your sheet for Northfield, what you showed Dana in here was a salary for the supervisor of $48,878 and $22,000 for the clerk, which I show on here $23,525 for the, excuse me,
Right.
for the clerk, $18,000.
Right, I noticed that was different, so I went back and looked on my notes, and I talked directly to my fellow administrator, and that is the information I got from the administrator of that township.
Okay, well, I have the actual resolution with the amount, and it's in their, it was on their website, so I went back and clarified that again.
Okay.
And those numbers were correct. So
okay,
if I could find that, you know, the numbers that I got of 41,138 is what's actually approved and signed.
Okay.
So I don't know where they got that.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. Yeah, I literally inputted, you know, the information that I received from, you know, my colleagues.
Okay. But what I did do was I took, okay, just some comments, first of all. So you had a total of 19 different townships. And I think what, you know, from my perspective makes sense is to average those townships that are in Cook County. Because, for example, you know, we have assessors that, you know, they actually do the assessment in these township offices where we don't do the assessment, we do appeals. So it
Wait, I gotta
way out
ask
of whack to look at other.
What Cook County townships do the assessment?
No, not Cook County townships. You included Lake County, DuPage County, Will County. And
We included Zone 1.
So if we just looked at Zone 1, Cook County, instead of Zone 1 with these other far surrounding counties of McHenry.
But we're following what Toy
Lake,
suggested. So,
what who?
Toy, Township Officials of Illinois, as you saw in the
Okay.
page.
Well, as a decision maker for the trustees of Maine Township, it is my recommendation that we look at surrounding Cook counties, Cook County townships around us, and not these farther surrounding townships that don't necessarily, that actually do have different jobs. So when it comes to the assessor's office in particular, like, you know, in DuPage County and at Naperville, they're paying the assessor $112,000. I think that's an outlier. And, you know, I don't see why we would include that. If we looked at, let me just finish what my analysis showed. So when I looked at the analysis of what the 13 townships that lie within Cook County, so the townships that I included were, if you look at Dana's list, and I'd like to actually pull that up, if somebody can pull that up off what Dana said. Let me see if I can find that. Let's see, Dana. I think that email was today, or?
I sent it yesterday.
Oh, was that yesterday?
Yes.
Okay, what was the email date, do you know?
Yesterday's date was the 24th.
24th. Elected officials, okay, let's see. Just trying to pull that up. Looking for the attachment. Okay, here it is. Okay, so I'm gonna do a screen share on this, if I can. 1 second. Okay. Can you all see this?
Can you just do the one sheet with the spreadsheet?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that help? Can you see
Yeah.
it?
There it is. That's
Okay.
it.
Okay, so if we look at, let's see. I don't know if I'm getting this right. Okay, I just didn't want, can you see my whole screen, all that stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I don't know how to fix that. So, so if we look at, you know, starting at Northfield as number 5, and then New Trier, Oak Park, Palatine, Hanover, Leiden, Niles, Elk Grove, Wheeling, Palatine, Norwood, New Trier, and Schaumburg. And we total the total number, which is 13 of those townships, and we take the average. The salary for the supervisor would be $25,850. My recommendation last meeting was to reduce the supervisor's salary to $30,000. And if we look at the clerks,
What was the average, Susan?
2550.
25,850.
Thank
If we
you.
look at the clerks total average is, sorry, let's see. The clerks is 233, 633. So I divided that by, we didn't have the Norwood Park clerks. So I divided that by 12, and that's 19,469. And I had recommended 20,000 last meeting for the clerk's salary. For the assessors, the average for the 13 assessors offices here was 23,000. I think this is, Dana, I think you meant to reverse this. The
Right.
73,000
It's
should be in highway,
Yeah, I did. Sorry about that. Yes.
right, in 21. So the
Yes.
assessor, we have for Maine at 21, 845.
And I'm the one that said, excuse me, that's wrong too. I'm the one that said 21,000. I'm not at 31,000 currently.
That is correct.
I believe the assessor's at 31.
Yeah, the clerk, okay, right. Yeah, this is all screwed up, right. This is 21 should be over here, right? Okay, so the clerks, anyway, the clerks was 19,469. That's what the average clerk's salary is.
But how do you know if you were using the wrong numbers?
No, Dana put these in the wrong category. I added up the ones that are here, these numbers.
Except you, first of all, you can't use Wheeling because
What's wrong is our main numbers here, because this is not the assessor, this is the highway commissioner salary. This is Pete's salary.
I see what you said.
And
Yeah,
this
I
is
see.
the
You know,
assessor's
I apologize for that. You know what I did for Susan had that line in hers, and I copied and pasted it, and I didn't realize that my order was different. So
yeah.
here.
So
What was your proposal for the assessor?
So for the assessor, 25,000,
The average you're saying is 23?
and the average was 23,529. Now, based on the fact that we know what these new amounts amount to, I would recommend something different, that we actually use the averages. Let me continue on. The highway assessor, the highway commissioner is 32,643, and I had recommended 35,000. So
I'm sorry, the highway commissioner is not 32,000.
yes, look at this. The highest one is Northfield for 63,000.
I thought you were talking about Maine. Oh, okay.
Okay, let's look at the highway. What I incorporated was seven numbers for the highway that we averaged. The 63,326, the 20,000 at Palatine, the 72,000 at Leiden, 15,000 for Elk Grove, 20,000 for Palatine, 20,000 for Norwood Park, and 17,678 for Schaumburg. And the rest of them, Wheeling, we know, eliminated the highway department and has a manager and an engineer.
So did Northfield, though.
So that amounted to 32,643. So based on that, I would recommend that we consider lowering these salaries to be more reflective of what the average is in Cook County. And those numbers that I just said, I could type up and, you know, if we don't agree on this tonight, whatever, I think, I would recommend that we stay in line with that we reduce these and reflect what the average of the Cook County salaries are. In addition to that, we also had talked about, and Dana provided a chart for what the compensation is from Maine Township for the health insurance plans. And right now, for the monthly amount, you know, annualized, it's $34,348 for the health insurance plan annually, and then another 600 or, you know, 400 to 600 depending on what you have for the dental care. So what I had read last time was a resolution from Palatine, which says that you know, that the health insurance is there's no township contribution or match, but that the elected officials would be entitled to participate in the healthcare plans, whether it be for the flexible spending account or retirement account or life insurance or the township's group health insurance plan. So,
tell me when you're
What
done.
resolution was it? I'm sorry, Laura.
Oh, her resolution was the Palatine resolution that the township officials, it's basically no benefits. So they can participate in the plan at full cost. So it's not health insurance.
There was a question too about whether the highway commissioner positions that we're comparing to our full.
Dave, I'm sorry, if we're gonna do comment, I actually did want to go first, if that's okay.
Oh, sure.
And you know, so first of all, I have to say a couple things. And one of them is, I think averaging is absurd. And I don't mean that as a slur against you. I have no idea why, you know, like we wouldn't accept toys, the Township Official of Illinois recommendation of how, you know, townships are setting salaries and compensation. But let me finish. I didn't interrupt, okay? So averaging makes literally no sense because each township is different. Each township has responsibility for a different amount of people. You absolutely cannot, wait, hang on. We're not going to screen share in the middle of me talking. Okay, thank you. So my point is, you cannot average out, you know, a township that is in charge of 20,000 people with a township that is in charge of 133,000 people. That's absurd. It's an absurd premise. You can't average the salaries for highway commissioner when you have absolutely no idea whether or not that particular highway commissioner is even responsible for their highways, because there were several townships in your list where they aren't, and where they contract out. And so, you know, you also, I mean, averaging out only Cook County literally made no sense. But even doing that makes no sense. It is apples to oranges, not apples to apples. So the reason that Toy had a 5-page spread is to give guidance to the townships. It's not something I made up. Zone 1. And zone 1 is because these townships are recognized to have either more people or be in charge of more people and more duties. And so with respect to highway commissioner, you know, they have the largest amount of roads of all of them in Cook County and most likely DuPage. I don't know. Wally can talk about that. With respect to clerk, similarly, you know, clerk is servicing 133,000 people. And because we do service the people of Park Ridge, Niles, Glenfield, Northbrook, I'm sorry, North Field, the part, North, what am I trying to say? And then there's a couple in Morton Grove and a few in Rosemont. So we service all, I'm sorry? We have a couple areas in just 2 in Rosemont, but there's we also have the unincorporated.
Yeah.
So we serve all of those people. Our GA doesn't turn away somebody from Park Ridge who's not in the unincorporated. Similarly, our clerk doesn't turn away someone from Niles who's not in the unincorporated. And I mean, Pete can speak to that more. I think this averaging idea is absolutely, I mean, you guys can do whatever you want. I think averaging is just sort of an absurd method to do it. And with respect to setting compensation.
Right.
I'm done.
I just like that.
Those 20,000, that was actual highway commissioners. They weren't contractors. So I just want to make a comment to that.
The one I mentioned, we went through this at the last meeting.
He had his name up
And
first.
the one thing I had, we were pretty much in line with all these salaries except the highway commissioner. And it was pointed out that certain highway commissioners are part-time and certain are full-time, possibly. I don't know if that is, if that's actually the case here. That was my only concern, was the highway
If I could
commissioner.
comment on that.
Sure.
At that salary, it should be treated, and I definitely try and do that, keep it a full-time position. Because that is more than generous salary. I'm going to admit to that.
I can't hear you. Can you take your mask off while you're like away from everybody?
Yeah, one thing, we're easily in the top 5 in Cook County for number of miles of road that we're responsible for. It's rounding up, it's 21 miles, which there's only a few other not suburbs, but townships that have more than that. The salary was reduced by about 25 grand from my predecessor, so it's already been reduced. I'm not saying that anybody should be married to that $73,000 figure, but it should be treated as a full-time job. I have heard that there was a figure of $35,000 bandied about at the last meeting, and only because of the amount of things that can go awry in that position. You know, I've been so lucky that in 4 years, maybe the highest snowfall was 6 to 8 inches a couple of times. There was only one serious flooding, and that was predominating in downtown Des Plaines. It didn't really affect the unincorporated area as much, and maybe a couple other flooding issues. But you know, based on prior years before I took office, I've been lucky at that. Just that windstorm that we had 10 days ago, or last week, Monday, I think it was. If the township was responsible for roads on Don Avenue, we'd still be using chainsaws. But you know, it's just by the grace of God, the area that's unincorporated that we're responsible for was pretty much spared any kind of tree damage. So a lot of it's luck, but if things go awry, and I think anybody who had a catastrophe, that's the first person that people blame is, you know, how come the roads aren't plowed? How come my backyard's flooded, et cetera, et cetera. And it's a lot of responsibility. Now, it should be a full-time paid salary, whether it's up to you, whether it should be 73, but it should be treated as a full-time job with full-time responsibilities. And no matter if it's a lesser amount, it should be commiserate with the responsibilities, because there's, in addition to the catastrophic aspect that could incur, there's the traditional personnel issues, budget making. There's a whole litany of things that the highway commissioner is responsible for. And if you make a salary of 35,000, chances are the successor that takes my place will probably treat it as a part-time job and just come in to sign the checks or, sign some resolution. That's my opinion.
All right, Trustee Jones.
And I know I mentioned this last meeting, but I would like to also remind everybody that the last time we reduced all the salaries by, was it 20%? I think Highway Commissioner, the previous Highway Commissioner was making 96,000. Is that right, Wally?
Yeah, something like
98,000?
98.
And then also earlier, and all the other salaries were reduced by, was it 20 or 25% when we?
I thought it was
reduced the salaries,
25.
4 years ago. 20%. And then one other thing.
Supervisor went from 49 to 35, so whatever that is. And so I thought it was
earlier. Okay, I thought it was 25% also. So, so anyway, it was somewhere between 20 and 25% that we reduced salaries across the board. And one other thing, earlier this evening, we committed to going into an intergovernmental agreement with MWRD with the anticipation of spending $13,000 to $14,000 a year to maintain the project. Well, that's going to be overseen by the highway commissioner. So I don't see how we can add more responsibility and expect someone to do a full-time job that is as important as that for for $35,000, to be fair, and I agree with Supervisor Marask as far as averaging. I think it's a kind of a superficial premise that you're using, and I don't understand why we wouldn't go with 2020 Township Survey. They are the experts. Toya is the experts. The reason they put this in this month's perspective was for this reason, because they knew we're going to be looking at these things, and we have a resource that's very valuable here. Why wouldn't we rely on it to make our decision instead of some kind of again, superficial averaging, which really doesn't mean much based on the information that, was provided. That's my opinion.
Can I just make one comment, then I'm done?
Okay. Well, Highway Commissioner Kazmarchuk.
Yeah, there is another source of revenue for highway commissioners if they choose to use it, and it's perfectly legal, but I choose not to do it. I don't charge for mileage. I don't have a leased vehicle from the township for work. I use my own car for all aspects of my life. And also, I don't gas up at the shed. I pay for my own gas. And these are perfectly legal things. I could legally do that, but I choose not to. So that's another factor to consider, that maybe my successor might be very interested in not, forgetting how to use a gas pump, and just doing it in the back of the garage. So, there's.
Well, wouldn't that be more expense for the highway commissioner then?
No, I'm not suggesting that he does, but he's perfectly free to do that. I choose not to, because I don't want to have that be a burden on the taxpayer. Now, maybe that's bragging or whatever, but that's another fact. That,
Well, Wally's saying is he doesn't put in for those things.
Yeah.
He would be.
No, but I understand, but then when we are figuring out what compensation is, you're saying that we should also include
That's up to you.
expense reimbursement or use of township resources.
Yeah, if you, that's another aspect.
Well, but there,
All right, everybody's gonna be raising their hands and being called. So,
So that's all I have to say. Maybe that's a little braggadocious that I'm so.
okay, I think it's a bit irrelevant. I don't mean that it's irrelevant, and I think your other things were really important. But that is something you choose to do, and but I think the point being that the successor 35,000 is more in line with the part-time job, and especially
Somebody, you know, you're definitely going to get somebody like me who's the bottom quarter of his lifespan, because if they have to raise a family or even support themselves without any kind of security or backup savings, you know, it's hard to live on 35,000.
oh, it's less than the perceptions. So
Yeah. So it's going to be treated differently if it's reduced to that extent. That's all I'm saying.
Trustee McKenzie, did you have other comments?
So is somebody making a motion to table this so that we can study this 5-page article?
No, that's why I was in your board pack. I mean,
I wasn't aware that this was something that we were supposed to be honing in on. I'm sorry, I didn't read it cover to cover. I skimmed it this month. So I have not read this.
I'd make a motion to table.
So I'm perfectly happy to.
Okay.
So you made a motion to table, and Trustee McKenzie, are you seconding that?
I would like to read the survey. Yes, I am.
That's fine. Okay, so
I mean, everybody else read this 5-page survey?
yeah, I mean,
Every page of this been analyzed?
I'm sorry.
So if we have a motion and a second,
But there is
So I would expect then some kind of analysis from Dana on, you know, like what this all distills to.
But I thought that's okay. So we're clear for next time. You know, I thought that's what all the back and forth was with the emails, with the, you know, part-time versus full-time, and the amounts of salaries for. I don't know. I thought there were quite a few requests that she did do.
Oh, and I'm very thankful. Thank you,
No,
Dana.
no, I don't want to
provided.
this, like be in the same position in September is what all I'm saying. So
I mean, I did not, oh, sorry. I did not, I was not analyzing based on these zones. And I don't know how the zones relate to the information that Dana has put together for us. So, I mean,
it was
I
just,
can answer this
you know,
later.
it was based on the zones. I had asked her to do the zones, the zone 1. That's like why you see the table that I had given her the June perspective article, because I thought that article sort of guided us. You know, I thought it was really good. And thank you to Doreen, who actually gave me that, you know, pointed out that article, or I would have missed it. So
well, it had a funny name.
Yeah, it did. It did.
I thought
Like,
it was a salary for a survey for employees, which I was interested in, but because that wasn't what we were voting on or talking about this month, I didn't read it. So I apologize for that.
That's okay. So we currently have a motion and a second to table. Clerk Jalamis, can you call the roll on that? And then
Trustee Jones had a comment.
We'll take your guys' comments, but you can't, once there's a motion to table.
All right. Supervisor Marask?
Yes.
Trustee Jones?
yes.
Trustee McKenzie?
Yes.
Trustee Carabota?
Yes, and thank you, Laura, for letting us take the vote on the motion to table.
No problem.
Supervisor Marash, you're gonna have to unmute. Oh, Trustee Sweeney, you
I
did.
did.
Yeah, I just got
Trustee
unmuted.
Sweeney.
I was trying to say something before.
Well,
we
after
actually-
this motion, so.
I know, but I had comments to make before we actually did that. I was going to share another document, but I will send something since we're in the middle of a vote right now, but I will send something in regards to Palatine's plan so that you can all see that. Okay, what that is. And I just want to make a comment that I don't understand why, when we're not doing, for example, one issue is assessing, why we would compare Cook County townships, compare salary studies to people in zone 1 outside of Cook County. That makes no sense to me.
Okay.
Can I get your vote, Trustee Sweeney?
Yes, for table.
Thank you.
Okay, so that motion is passed, and I'm gonna, Trustee Jones, I think is first on commenting, and then
I
Trustee.
just want to ask Dana a question. I wonder, Dana, is any of the information that was included in our salary study from last year relevant to this? Do you know? Because, I mean, we paid a lot of money for that. I'm just wondering if some of that can be gleaned into this.
In terms of part-time and full-time, at least for us, yeah, right? Or, I mean,
For us.
oh, and other townships that are in those zones. Yeah, that's a good point.
Right. Okay. That's all I had to say.
I think Clerk Gilliamis is next.
I just have two quick things that I would like to point out. First off, the majority of the other townships do not have as large of an unincorporated area by far that we do, that they service to where we are their main form of government. So, comparing some of these, again, is apples to oranges because we're their main form of government. A lot of these other townships, that is not the case whatsoever. If they have any unincorporated, it's much smaller than what ours is. And secondly, some of these salaries that you're taking in there are elected officials that have much more of a hands-off approach than we do, certainly than I do. I consider my job and take it very seriously. I'm in there. I'm not slamming any of my other clerks. Some of them are at different places in their life and they run their townships differently, but I'm there. I work for what I do. I do a lot of extra stuff, not only with National Night Out. I'm on the trustees board as the treasurer for the clerks. And I feel I earn every bit of what we get. So I agree. Averaging it to me makes no sense. That's all.
Oh,
Trustee McKenzie.
why, during the last period where the trustee or the board had to make a decision on this, why did you all vote to reduce the salaries across the board 25%? That seems way more arbitrary to me than averaging.
Why?
Because it's just an arbitrary 25% reduction.
It wasn't arbitrary. We can send you the meeting. I mean, it was a motion that was made by Supervisor Teschke, and because the salaries had gotten rather high, and frankly, after 4 years of being the supervisor, I wish I had never supported it. Honestly, I mean, I'll speak real honest here because the supervisor makes every bit or is worth, at least the way I supervise.
What's the average number of board meetings we've attended this month?
Oh my God.
Yeah, we used to get
a lot.
We used to get paid per board meeting, and we
previously were paid for the special.
Yeah, right. We also went to a different structure on trustees. We had been getting paid per year or by board meeting. I can't remember. Then you got paid extra for
paid for special.
You're cutting out, Kim. Just to explain one other thing, Trustee McKenzie, with trustees, they had been getting paid extra for each meeting. So for like all the funding any funding meeting you went to, you got paid the $465. They were paid per meeting. So, so we went to a flat rate.
Right.
That year, which worked out to 25% reduction. And
Well, we
Trustee Jones.
right. We used to get paid for every special meeting, including all the agency funding. So whatever meeting we attended, with the exclusion of the town hall meeting, we would get paid the regular salary of $465. So we just limited it to strictly the board meetings. So
Right.
that was how we cut our salaries, trustees.
But just as a follow-up,
And it was,
I'm sorry.
what?
Sorry for cutting you off.
Well, and also we
that's-
go on, we were setting salaries for the next board, and so it seemed more in line with other zone 1. We did look at that to see these salaries. Again, I completely regret that.
But I'm still trying to figure out, like, what did Carol say was the reason she came up with a 25% proposed reduction? Like, where did she do a study? Did you have a spreadsheet? Like, what did you guys all look at in order to
the
all
same
vote
type
yes?
of toy thing that we're looking at now, the zone 1, and I mean, you probably have to read the minutes, or I don't think we were videotaped. I know we weren't videotaping them. I was a mere trustee. So
we did have tables.
we what?
We did have tables. We did have tables, comparative tables.
No, I know we had comparative tables. I just can't remember offhand. We went through a lot of discussion.
Right.
For months discussion.
Right.
Back and forth and back
Right.
and forth. So it wasn't like an arbitrary. Also, we ended up contributing more on the other end to benefits to
Significantly more.
right to the township fund. You know, we couldn't contribute to the health insurance because it would violate the ACA. So we contributed back, as you do now, or anybody on the health insurance does, to the salary line item, so that the taxpayer doesn't. I mean, you know, it's like before it was 5%.
Oh, so in addition to reducing the salaries by 25%, you also increased the elected officials' contribution to healthcare?
By 20%. It went from 5 to 25%.
Right.
Total contribution for health.
Total contribution, and 10% was, you know, directly to Blue Cross because of the ACA. And then the other 15 gets taken, as Dave could tell you, gets taken out of our paycheck. And it goes into the salary line item. So yes, all of that happened in 2016.
Right.
But it wasn't reached lightly. It was like a lot of back and forth. I mean, there were some people very much against. And then there were some of us that were very for it. So, you know, I think, like I said, I know we weren't taping them, but, you know, the minutes should be. If you want to look at the minutes. And I don't know if we were putting board packets up, probably not. So,
No, because we put that in the.
right, in our policy.
Brand new.
Remember.
Right. You know, I had like 20 years of board packets, Claire, until recently when I decided it was time to clean my cabinet out and not be a hoarder. But, you know, Doreen being how good she is, she probably saved that board. So, assuming she did, I can get it to you. Anyways, that's as much as I can remember of that. And so, no, I appreciate you, you know, I just, like, the reason I started this early was I thought it would take a couple months, you know, so I'm glad, you know, and maybe I should have highlighted it. I just thought it, like, yeah, there's only, you know, like the reason that was in there. It was a weird title to it. But, so anyways.
It just wasn't that interesting at the time, so I didn't read it.
Your honesty is refreshing. Okay. The perspectives are actually, you know, I know that the township, you know, we haven't been there for meetings, but, you know, we get perspective and they actually are really good to read. They're great to read. But I'm sorry. Happy to share mine. So we get one at the township. Okay. So moving right along to, there's no personnel. And do I have any requests for public participation? Okay, I'm looking. I don't see any. So if you do, speak now or forever hold your peace. All right. Then officials report. So.
Can I just make a comment before we go on under new business, since we're just as far as, you know, I participated in the library board meeting and I found that it was very helpful. I know we've talked about this before, and oftentimes, Laura, you've allowed for comment, but I think, you know, before we take votes on things, to go back to the public at that time so that they can comment on the individual, you know, agenda item is much more helpful, because right now, you know, to ask for public participation when votes are already cast doesn't really consider the input that, you know, people that are in the audience may want to offer. So I would suggest that we look at our board policy and put that on the agenda for next month, as we have other board policies I don't think we've ever finalized, come final on as well.
We have actually finalized all of our board policies that you had previously suggested. So,
okay,
if you want to suggest a board policy to do what Park Ridge does, you know, I don't, but you know, we certainly can move public comment. The reason it was moved down for this meeting, typically it is before any vote. But Joe Kratzner, I was trying to accommodate, as I always do, a person who is spending their evening coming in to speak to us.
Yeah, we moved him up, but we actually have it on the agenda. The public participation was before any of these items.
It's on number 9.
Oh, I'm on the wrong, yeah.
Yes, I know.
So, yeah, I mean, it's after, so.
But anyway, usually it's number 6.
It's very helpful to, you know.
I'm not going to go back out to the board, I mean, to public on each thing. Number 6, if it's before the votes, I think that's sufficient. I mean, that's my opinion, but you can absolutely draft a policy that you would like to put on the agenda.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why we wouldn't want to be more open with people and have them participate.
I think we're very open.
But they can't comment until oftentimes, you know.
It's never after the vote. Tonight is.
No, but it's before, but they haven't once they hear discussion from the elected officials and they go back out to the public, and then maybe there is more discussion that ensues, they go back out again before they take a vote, so that it actually is much more inclusive of, you know, the people that are wanting to participate. And I think that's helpful to encourage people.
Well, like I said,
actually
you can put it on the, you know, draft something feel free to put it on the agenda and we can take a look at it.
Okay, then Dana, if you can send me the existing policy so that I can suggest a modification to that, that would be great.
And I have to say, for the previous public comment, I liberalized it drastically from what it used to be. Used to have to register in advance, and you know, it was like insane.
I agree. And
no, you didn't see it. I'm talking about
yes,
under prior supervisor.
I was aware of that. I thought that was wrong. In fact, I gave input to that effect. That was not,
well, that's why I
not very
liberalized
encouraging.
to, you know, and I raised it from 3 minutes to 5 minutes. But, you know, Park Ridge also, you know, the kind of policy, just want to make this comment, the kind of policy you're suggesting, Park Ridge has a consent agenda where, you know, 15 things are passed in one vote. We don't.
I'm not referring to Park Ridge City Council. I'm actually referring to the library, so that's not the way it was done.
It's not, okay, but
it's not a consent agenda, and I'm talking about each agenda item.
I know, but the library's under Park Ridge. I mean, it doesn't exist as a separate entity. I mean, I know there's a Park Ridge.
I'm not saying it does. I never said that it did, but it's not passed on a consent agenda.
My point is, so if you want to keep going back out and back out, those things are going to, like, you know, I think concurrently you'd have to consider, and I don't think it'd be a bad idea to consider, a consent agenda, you know, so that we don't spend hours on, you know, bill pay and minutes and things like that. But that's for the next meeting. So, you know, draft.
Yes.
So Dana can send you our existing public comment rules, and we will look forward to that on the September agenda. So now we have officials reports, and I'm going to start over. Wally, did you leave?
Yes.
All right, that takes care of one. Clerk Gilamas.
The only thing I really wanted to bring up is several of the other clerks I've talked to have decided to do their annual town meeting virtually. I don't know, I guess that's something that we'll have to consider. I find it kind of strange.
That wasn't allowed, Karen Lynn. I thought that wasn't allowed.
Carrie Lynn, you have a comment on that?
I think she's muted.
Yeah, she's muted, Laura.
Hang on, she's unmuted now.
Did you say what was virtual? I didn't
The
hear.
annual town meeting.
No, that's right now still in violation of the governor's executive order.
That's
I mean, if it's a township, yeah, if it's a small township that has 3 people come to their town meeting, that's one thing. But no, right now, there's not any legal ability to do that.
Okay, that's kind of what I wanted some clarification on, because I certainly, you know, they're asking me what we were doing. I'm like, well, at this point, I thought our hands were kind of tied. So
they are.
Okay, good. Just wanted to make sure I was on pace with that.
The only thing we can do if we wanted to have it, and I don't know how we could have it, is submit, you know, a plan to the health department.
Yeah.
With it going up.
Nope, I just wanted to make sure I was on the right track with that. That's all I have. Thank you.
You may want to tell.
Too late, they already did it, so I'm not going to rat anyone out.
I you know, I just remember like that was a no-no, but yeah. And I'm assuming, Pete, are we, did we, cancel National Night Out, or is it?
Yeah, no, we officially canceled it. They rescheduled for October 6th, but I still don't see any way of possibly doing it with social distancing or anything else. So it's just canceled altogether this year.
Well, that's what I thought. All right, wanted to make sure. All right, anything else?
That's all.
Okay. All right, Trustee Sweeney.
Okay, I had a question because I know we don't do reports on everybody, but Recovery Connections was doing some things and they had 51 and 55 participants. I just the group's getting a lot larger, so it's doubling, it seems like, and obviously
It
there's
is.
gotta be a need. So, but that's got to be challenging too, because we're supposed to be within, guidelines. So I'm just curious how that's.
The tent has been
Oh, it's been
We
okay.
have,
a
we have-
lifesaver.
right,
That
and we
tent-
actually have 2.5 tents at this point.
Right.
So the township itself has these little tents that we've kind of always had, and Mike's added them. If you see in our parking lot, we have like little tents that we added to the end of them. And actually, to be honest with you, if it's nice outside, I think some of the participants just are outside of the tent participating in the meeting. So they are social distancing. Yeah.
Oh, and also the participants include the weekend program, like the CrossFit, different things that, they've started doing. I think we discussed it last meeting, the sober golf, started up again, and a lot of the things that, had been shut down. And it came at a time, there was such a need,
And I'm also wanting to know from Richard Lyon's report why the non-clinical services went down so much, because like May and June, we had 900 and it went down to 99. I'm just wondering what happened there. Is there?
Because you can't have, there's no, Rich, are you still there? You want to speak to that? Each of like art in the town and those
It's not
things.
COVID, because it's May and June, we had 912. And
That is COVID. Yeah. So, Rich, you want to come up and talk?
For June, the main reason, for July, the main reason that went down is because we did not host a.
You're going to have to come up. It's really echoing. I don't.
Just mute the
There you
board,
go.
and then it'll be fine.
I'm sorry?
Mute the boardroom, please, and then it'll
Oh, sure. I thought you were speaking from the boardroom.
be. There we go.
All right.
Yeah, the main reason that went down in July is because we do not host any community education events in July. So we had in June and August webinars where we had hundreds of participants. In May, we had 500, and June, we had 400 and something. So we did not host an event in July. So that's the main reason why those are down for July.
Okay, so it's the events. It's just, okay. Because it was 900 in May and 900 in June, 973, almost 1,000 in June. So those are webinar events?
Yeah, we did one in May and one in June. We always skip July, and then we had one earlier this month as well.
Okay, maybe I can talk to you about that offline. I just want to understand that a little bit better. Okay, and I guess I want to comment that there were a lot of donations in the food pantry. I was encouraged to see, the residents and businesses had given a lot of money, and there was also a lot of food collection. The Hawkettes, Maine East, I think was Park Ridge Presbyterian and St. Luke. So I think that was terrific. And I see that we're doing our first shredding event. And I had a question on that. I guess we're doing that September 26th, Laura?
Beats me.
Doreen. Do we have a budget for that, or because since we've never done that before?
We don't pay for the shredding.
We have a shredding event every year.
We've had a shredding event, Susan, every year since I've been a
yeah. It's usually in June.
I thought it was something. I thought this one was something different because it's shred first or something. Okay, never mind. Because I knew. Yeah. Okay. Okay. And I just want to also say, I'm appreciative that a couple of different organizations, the Northwest Suburban Care and also Center of Concern, had both written letters showing their appreciation for the money that we had, the extra money that we had given them. So I think that was well, received, and something that we really recognized during COVID, that we needed to reach out to the community. So I'm thankful that they were appreciative, and they really did need it from what they said in their letter. So thank you for that.
Okay. Trustee Carabota.
I'd like to thank everybody in the township as they help each other and they lend a helping hand during this COVID time. It's fantastic to see I also wanted to thank everyone that participated in our meeting. It is 9:30 and it's a long evening, and that was included Donna and Earl. Thank you very much. Steve, who communicated with me during the meeting. I very much thank you for that. And I would like to suggest that if we could put on the itinerary for the next board meeting, just to think about it, to see if we can consider maybe an additional 5% to 10% payment to the charities and nonprofits that we have already approved, as we've done before, to maybe try to help provide additional help to township residents with our services during the COVID time period.
All right, send me the thing. I mean, we are having our agency funding, but you know, I'm never against that. So
yeah, I would say they could probably use something now before December. So I was thinking either 5 or 10% is what I'd like to put on for the next meeting. If we
all right, just send an agenda item,
okay.
you know, as normal. That would be great.
And just a reminder, you know, our residents that, you know, the churches are open, the counseling centers are open in our community, even virtually, to stay strong as we get through the COVID time period. Thank you.
Trustee McKenzie.
I just want to say that I'm encouraged that we're able to do something to maybe help, especially the unincorporated areas with the flooding. I'm very excited about negotiating that commitment and the IGA. So finally, I feel like we're doing something constructive and not just the usual bill pay and all of that and everything that we've had to do in the past. So very, very excited about that. And I was wondering if we have any status on the COVID funds that we had learned about being available maybe for reimbursement of some of our.
We literally just sent in our, you know, we had to do a whole thing. So
Grant.
yeah.
So we've been working, Vicki and I, it's very tedious and hard to understand. I don't know if they do that on purpose, because I don't know, but we actually have been working with a nice gentleman named Benjamin, who's been helping us fill out this application, which is quite lengthy. And we are actually just at the tail end and ready to submit it within the next couple days. So we got all paperwork together. We filled out everything that needs to be filled out. He actually looks at everything to make sure that everything is filled out correctly, which is nice before we submit it. And I think he's
now, who is he? He's from an agency?
From FEMA.
From FEMA.
From FEMA. So
Illinois.
And so we're going to submit that by the end of the week. I'm not sure the turnaround time of when we would get the funds. So yeah, we're again at the tail end of doing that. So
is that like, you know, the PPP loan applications? Right. Okay. And right. So is that a, like once you fill it out and if you have all your I's dotted and your T's crossed, you either qualify or don't, and you kind of know whether you do?
I think we definitely qualify.
We qualify.
We've already been told to qualify.
Right, we definitely qualify. You can get, I think, like 75% of what you spent. And so it's everything from our shields to our masks to our hand sanitizer to the tent. I mean, even the tent, because we wouldn't have to put up a tent, obviously, if we weren't in COVID. So it's you know, quite a few things that adds up. You know,
maybe you do want to buy that tent before the end of the week.
Yeah, right.
Actually, although I need your guys' permission to do that, because, you know,
I don't see that need going away, so.
I would
that is your guys' permission.
I would. Right, are you saying that, Laura? Because it's going to be.
I would second.
It's not on the agenda.
Unless you want to loan yours. I'm kidding.
I have a tent.
Kidding.
I wish I had a tent.
But you had a nice one.
Just not as big as what you guys
need
have.
a bigger one. You need a bigger one. Yeah.
So yeah, I think buying a tent would be great. I'll have, you know, Marie do it tomorrow.
Sure, makes a
We
good
won't go to waste, that's for sure.
Right. This is going to go on for a while, so.
Right.
Right. No, I understand. So
Right.
I've been like such a Scrooge about keeping those things separate that, you know, everything go on this FEMA thing, you know, like, so, you know, they have to give thanks to Carrie Lynn's partner, Chris Welch, who's in the state legislature, and he gave me some very good guidance on, and all of us. They, you know, gave me some very good guidance on the programs and, you know, how to do this. And, you know, the FEMA thing is just such a bitch.
So, okay, so you need a vote to actually buy.
I can't make a vote right now.
I understand that, right.
So, but you've always,
But maybe under COVID.
if something is an emergency.
Right.
I go for the spending authority, it won't be a problem. So.
But it's under a certain amount, right? Under the 10.
No, my spending authority is 1,000. The tent will be over that.
Well, so should we just do an emergency phone meeting or Zoom meeting?
I don't think we can. I mean, can, but we have to set it with 48 hours notice and do all the appropriate.
Well, how much is a tent?
No, she's saying
much do
to
they
buy
cost?
the tent instead of, I don't know. I don't have the.
I know.
But it was like
Okay.
$10,000. It was.
How much they
I
cost.
mean,
Money.
just to rent it, I think is $1,000. So it's got to be more than
Right.
that. Yeah.
You know, it was a lot. But I mean, it wasn't, you know, it was probably the cost of maintaining the flooding. That's what I was saying.
Well,
That
maybe
was-
just get like $1,000 one instead, so at least you have some.
there is no such. We checked with like Mary, like when we were first looking at this, we thought of buying it, you know. So we did do estimates from many places. So like from my recall, the minimum was like 5,000.
Well, can you do like 2 or 4 instead of one
That's what I was
ginormous
thinking.
one?
Yeah.
there's still
And-
gonna be. I mean, so I don't want to shock you guys.
Because
It's
then you
still-
have flexibility to move them too.
Yeah, like we
That's-
have now. But you know, if you like the ones we have now, which, you know, the company's been great, and we've dealt with them, we know them. I'll get a price, and you know.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be game for a special meeting by the end of the week, or, you know, we've got. 48
Yeah.
hours, yeah.
Well,
I'm
the
around.
so one of you might have to chair that because, you know, I'm actually not, but that's okay because
I could chair the 10th meeting. That would be
well,
the.
no, you have to
Welcome
do
everyone
it the
to the-
right way. You have to
November one.
elect the person, blah 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 blah.
Blah, 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 blah.
So,
Yeah, if you get those prices, that'd be great. And I'd be more than happy, you know, to follow up on Claire's idea and Susan's idea to go ahead and have a meeting, and we'll just address that one issue and call it a day. You know, that would be good.
so Dana will talk to Marie tomorrow. And Carrie Lynn, or Dana, I don't know that due date is hard and fast. Do you know, Carrie Lynn? I think it might be the FEMA due date.
Yeah, I think that in order to qualify, we have to adhere with that.
Right. So I think we're probably going to be too late on the old tent thing.
Okay, well, I'm sure we have plenty.
But honestly, it can come out of capital fund, and
I actually think we're going to be okay. We have till September 26th.
oh, okay. I thought it
We're
was
fine.
tomorrow for some reason. Oh, you were ready to send it.
The only thing, well, so that's the only thing. We're ready to send it. So let me see
we
if
could put it on the regular meeting.
so if we can't modify it, if we can do capital fund, that would probably be the next best thing that's possible.
Right. But okay, but like, you know,
Our next
FEMA,
meeting's on the 22nd, September 22nd.
So I just want to say really quick, because I know it's getting late. I just want to say there's also a possibility, because no one knows how long this is going to go on, that they're also saying that there might be kind of a second tier of when we can apply for more money at a later time. So we might be able to, after we apply for this, you know, after the first of the year, then apply again.
Right.
So we might be able to kind of mush this money into another grant.
But I think we're good on this because I
Right.
don't think you'll have to have a special meeting because we can put it on September 22nd and have all of the research done, and she can send it September 23rd. Everything is already done, you know, on the minutia of that application.
Can you get it reviewed by Benjamin without the tent purchase and then just add the tent purchase?
I don't know if that's a possibility. I don't know. So would the board be opposed if we put it, if we took out a capital fund for now? And I could do some research and see if we could put it through FEMA, but if not, could it just be a capital fund purchase?
I don't know why it wouldn't be able to go through FEMA.
Well, because I think that the application's kind of done at this point, and I'm not sure, it's not just a matter of just kind of literally writing it in. It's kind of a big thing to kind of put up another thing in there. I could see if that's a possibility. I know it's.
Yeah, would you ask him? I don't think it's like that hard. I mean,
Okay.
I appreciate how much work you guys have done.
Right.
But I mean,
All right, let me see if I can add that in there.
It's not the 26th.
Right.
And, you know,
Okay. Right. I mean, and if it's something that expensive, like if we're talking 5,000 or 10,000, then it's worth us waiting and adding that in, of course. So.
Yeah, no, I know it is.
Right.
Especially
Yeah,
because
we can have a
everybody
special
is going to
meeting.
be doing this. You
Right.
realize
Right.
we have an in with this company because we've been renting. So.
Right. So my computer cut out for a second. Did you say that we're gonna put this on the September agenda?
Yeah, I think.
Okay.
Then you got plenty of time. We can talk to Benjamin.
Right.
And,
Okay.
and they don't have to do a special board meeting. Okay.
Okay.
So Trustee McKenzie, did you have anything else?
I was just saying, I mean, since we have until September 26th, we could have a special board meeting in 10 days or 2 weeks or whatever everybody's schedule allows, and just do a short Zoom, and that way you're not up against the deadline and feeling crunched.
Right. It would be better for me, right, because I wouldn't feel as rushed if that would be possible.
I'm
Otherwise,
around.
either way, whatever the board, you know.
I'm probably not, but that's okay. Because I'm sure you guys are. Well, I'm starting a police board trial, so.
I'll just make it a priority the day after the board meeting, so no worries.
Yeah, I'm not worried about the FEMA. I mean, you've got it all the way done. We had a tent.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
I don't think that's going to be a problem. Just like email Benjamin tomorrow, find out if it is. And if it is, we'll have a special board meeting.
Right. Okay.
All right, Trustee Jones.
Okay, I'm
sorry, were you done?
brief.
Yes.
All right, Trustee Jones.
Okay, I just want to again thank all the township employees for stepping up and keeping things running efficiently and thinking out of the box with their creative solutions and how they do things. I did have that opportunity to attend the Mainstreamers event I think it was last month, or with Diva Montel, and it was really nice. That was just one of the ways that they keep people involved, and several of the Mainstreamers came up to us and were just really enthusiastic about being able to get out of the house, because they commented that everything is for kids, all the programs that people do, and want to make sure the kids are entertained. And they sort of forget that seniors also need entertainment and socialization, because they suffer a lot from isolation, especially COVID times. So I appreciated them coming up to me and expressing that, because I think it's a really valid point. And I also want to echo Trustee McKenzie about the flooding. I'm really excited about that, and it's a long time coming. This flooding in this area, obviously we all are aware of this, has been a real challenge and has caused a lot of issues and expense and hardship for many of our residents, not just the Maine Township, but the surrounding areas. So I think this is great, and I think that's it's a major accomplishment. So thank you. That's all I have to say.
Okay, so with respect to the flooding, I'm absolutely thrilled. I had so many conversations with Joe Kratzner, and I don't know if it was me changing his mind or me telling him you guys wouldn't be happy until it was Prairie Creek plus Farmers Creek. But he did change his mind. And Carrie Lynn was present during this meeting. We were both like, whoa. So, you know, that made all the difference in the world, because as I said at last month's board meeting, if it was just Farmers Creek, I would have been totally against it. This is what our residents have wanted. You know, the residents in unincorporated, the residents, and the ones that are really, and at the end of the day, there wasn't a, we addressed the public comment from last time, and at the same time, I got him over there for viewing it. Doreen went in my place because I was getting COVID tested negative. So I'm thrilled. Like, this to me would be the greatest thing ever, because in the 20 years I've been here, everybody's talked about it and nobody's done any. I mean, I think that people have tried, but there's always a negative. There's always a what if. So I'm very happy about that. With respect to the food pantry, the GoFundMe money is out, but I have to tell you that I am so heartened. John had asked his shoppers, if they still were interested in shopping. And I have about 30 people that, are still wanting to shop for us, and which is fantastic. So Rainey Wilson being like, she's done 5 deliveries to us. Obviously we pay for the groceries, and we have to wait for the board meeting. I always, so before, I go ahead and make a schedule for that. I tell them that, you have to wait. You won't get reimbursed until a board meeting. You're not going to get reimbursed like that day. But they have been so, the stepping up on the amount of people who are doing that. Also, kudos to Carol Langen. She talked to Jewel and Benny at Jewel, and we now are able to place our big order again. We still, I think, don't want to turn down the volunteers, for supplementing. I think that's great. Also, thank you to Laura Murphy for providing a lot of fresh corn that was given to various jurisdictions, to be included in the food pantry. And I'm going to close. What I've done is have a lot of meetings with MRD, or however, MTRD. Tried to keep everybody sane while balancing that threat. I want to share a letter that I got from the mayor of Park Ridge. A card, a handwritten card. Laura, I simply wanted to send a note of thanks for everything you're doing to provide a safe environment for our residents. While it has been incredibly stressful to deal with all that we have had to work through since March, it has also been rewarding, calming even, to see how everyone has adapted their respective approaches to handling things. I am grateful that you and your team are in place and making decisions. So that is meant for everybody, and I just thought that was really nice. And so I'm very happy with how everybody has stepped up, and that's it.
Laura, could you just clarify what you said about, was it Renee you said?
Rainey.
Rainey. So she's shopping, And then you said something about, isn't John handling the
No, it's over. The
reimbursement?
GoFundMe's done.
Okay, so she's shopping for us and then you're paying her directly?
Well, you just approved bills, like we are paying her for the food. She brings receipts and then we reimburse for the food. Yeah.
Okay, well, I know we approved bills, but I didn't realize it was her that was doing it, not one of our staff. So she's not on
We
staff.
don't have, no, of
Right,
course.
she's.
No.
Remember a month ago, we had to ask for a lot of volunteers to
Right.
buy because we didn't have people to
We
go
don't
to the
have
stores to buy. That's what this is. Right. We couldn't buy in bulk because the stores wouldn't allow it. So we had to get volunteers to purchase individual sales and then bring it into the township.
Which is how John got involved and we did the GoFundMe and yada, yada,
Right.
yada. Money.
I know
has
at one
been-
point, Carol had said like she hadn't worked, done any ordering through Amazon or any, is that still, to buy in bulk? She had.
Now we just did our first order through Jewel. That's literally what I was just saying, that no, Amazon will not work. It's way expensive. And Jewel, however, because we've worked with them and Benny, and we gave him a plaque last year, Jewel raised the most amount of money for us last year in their holiday share event. So they have started allowing the bulk order. So we switched from Aldi to Jewel.
Okay, because I know Aldi cut us off.
It wasn't Amazon.
I know, because Aldi's the one that cut us off, so I'm well aware that that's what happened. They didn't have bulk orders.
Right.
But there
So
wasn't,
I
at the
told her
time when I
that
talked to Carol, she said she had never looked into getting bulk orders anywhere else, really.
But I told her.
And Jewel, but never looking into online. I'm just wondering if that's an option for us.
It isn't.
Because we don't have shoppers, and that's a problem. We don't, just to prepare.
So I
feel
did
confident that Jewel's got the bulk orders, then we're set.
Well, I think that we should never turn down volunteer shoppers, ever.
I'm not suggesting that we should.
So yes,
I'm
I'm confident that Jewel will, that Benny, who we've worked with many times, will fulfill our most recent and only bulk order. And I personally told Carol to do it. She had been not wanting to do it because it's a few cents more than Aldi.
Okay.
So, to have food for, the COVID, like Dave said, is not leaving. And so the numbers have not really significantly reduced in terms of people using the food page. So
I know we want to close out, you're trying to finish your meeting, but just very quickly, the assessors, when is that open till now? The new?
It's done.
Not speaking.
It's done.
Did it close? Because she had put in a report that
they were booked through, as of Monday, August 26th, they couldn't take they couldn't take any more appointments.
Okay, but Maine Township is still open, but work's shut in.
No,
But the township, Maine Township is closed.
You can't walk in, right.
I understand, but we're still open for assessment if residents want to, I believe.
No, we're not.
Not Maine Township, but the appeal process, if you go directly or resident of Maine Township.
Well, the appeal process is open through the end of the week.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
You'd have to look that up. That is my understanding. Yes. But
residents know.
I was about to update my entry on Park Ridge Concerned Homeowner to say, we are booked up. Like, don't make an appointment. They can call for advice and they will get a call back. But, at this point, a resident is going to need either to go through a lawyer or do it themselves or, because they've been working like 12-hour days. They're done. Not done. The rest of the week is taken up, shall I say. So that's the status of that. And food pantries, volunteers, which I think is great. So I'm gonna get started on a schedule of that, and the flooding. And then you know, we'll see what happens come September. And that's all I have. So Dana, do you have anything to add? Carrie Lynn, do you have anything to add?
Nothing.
All right. So we have no closed session. And I am going to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Having a motion in a second. Pete? Oh, he's muted. I'll do it. Is there anyone opposed to adjourning?
No.
All right.
All in favor?
All in favor. Good night, everybody.
Good
Good night.